UPI.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program? Yeah.
97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN. As boy, folks, the word frustrated. That's the word of the day. In part because I felt like every person I heard, whether it was a player, a manager, or a coach, or a fan, expressed similar verbiage in the Phillies 5-0 loss yesterday. That's now 4 straight losses for the Phils. We got a lot to get to today on the Sports Bash. Let me give you a quick rundown before I get deep into the Phillies here on 97.3 ESPN. So, here's the itinerary for today. Today is the first day we are giving away tickets to go see Andrew Schultz in concert next Saturday at Ovation Hall inside Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. You're going to find out how you can win a pair of tickets to go see the comedian, actor, and podcaster perform on Saturday, August 23rd. That's number one. Number two, we got a busy lineup today. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City coming up in about 25 minutes from now. Football for with Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast. Nick Nuggets at 4:30 this evening. Matt Gelb from The Athletic will join us at 5 o'clock. And then those are listeners to Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN. I am usually on. Usually at Weinberg Wednesday. Today, Dave Weinberg will join us at 5:25 tonight instead of his usual 6:20 slot. So, packed show coming up. And as well, you guys join the conversation. Some of you also have at 609-403-0973. Your DMs also are open for the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Literally 2 hours before this show even began, text messages were already coming in complaining about the Phillies. I'm not going to ignore it. I will get to it. But as I opened, the word frustrated is the key word. And before I get to what people were saying last night specifically, I just want to give you guys my reaction, because I like the word frustrated, because we know this Phillies team is better than they have played recently. We know that the 2024 Phillies team was on a historic run the first half of the season. But the second half of the season, this team has only won 7 games since the All-Star break. And I think that we have all gotten to the point where everyone wants to point the finger and blame somebody. But the reality is that I don't think it's fair to just blame anyone at this point. You know, to paraphrase what Jason Kelce once said, it's the whole team. When you watch that game last night, there's never a point in time where any of us are, if you're being honest and fair, are looking around and saying one person is more at fault than another. There was a pitcher on the mound that 99% of you have never heard of in your life. Valente Balazzo. You had trouble getting a single hit off the guy for 7 innings. And in a game where Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, and Brandon Marsh all go over, none of them can get a hit in the game. Which is ironic because the guy they pinch hit for last night was Rojas and not Marsh, and Rojas had a hit last night. But you think about all the money and all the resources have been invested into these guys. Schwarber, Turner. A lot of money. A lot of money in those two guys, right? How about all the years of development for Alec Boehm and Bryson Stott from the minors to the majors? You didn't give up a massive haul to get Brandon Marsh, but you gave up enough to at least kind of make you question, was it worth it, right? And we talked so much heading into the All-Star break about how this team needed to upgrade the right-handed bat situation off the bench. And they did in the most literal sense. They got rid of Christian Pache and Whit Merrifield, and they brought in Austin Hayes. Well, now Austin Hayes is injured, and we don't know when he's coming back. And last night, the Phillies mustered 5 hits in the entire game against a Marlins bullpen that is nowhere as good as they used to be because they've traded multiple guys away at the deadline. A team that no longer has Josh Bell for you to worry about. A team that no longer has half the talent they had earlier this year. And you let Jake Berger beat you. That's why the word frustrated comes up. Because at the end of the day, we know that the Phillies team that won 19 games in April, 20 games in May, and 15 in June, we know that that team is still there, but they're not playing up to their potential. And that's why it was interesting when Kyle Schwarber said this to the media last night after the Phillies 5-0 loss to the Marlins.
I think it's frustration just because, we know what we can be and what kind of team we can be. I think worry is the wrong kind of word, right? That, if you're worried about, where you're at, it's not a good thing to be. And, frustration, you can have frustration. That's a natural thing to have, where, you feel like that, you could be going through a skid and everyone will be frustrated, right? And that's when it comes back to us coming back together as a unit and digging right back into the hole, right? And fighting our way out of it.
It's a very interesting perspective because what Schwarber's telling you is 2 different messages. Number one, the players are not worried. They're frustrated. And he's drawing a straight delineation, a straight divide in that conversation. And I think it's a very interesting delineation because what Kyle Schwarber is telling you indirectly is that the players know they are going to find their way out of this. The players know that they are believing. They believe they can get out of this situation. So is it enough to believe the players? Is it enough for Philly fans to look at the players and say they're frustrated, but they believe they can get out of this? Because I got to tell you guys, if I go off based off of social media last night, I think a lot of you are bailing on this team. And it's not just because they lost 4 straight games. It's the way they lost the 4 straight games. When you lose by more than 4 runs for 3 straight games, we have a lot of questions about the offense. And I asked the question yesterday to Frank Close during his Phillies mailbag segment. We asked the same question on Monday to Greg Murphy when it was me and Nick Earnshaw here filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. The question we kept asking is there something that can be done with the lineup? Is it just about the players getting out of their own way? And I said it tongue in cheek, but maybe there is something to the fact that maybe all of these guys should have taken like a day at the Jersey Shore or something, because I don't know what is going on with Trey Turner. I do not understand why Harper is having some of these bad at bats. It doesn't make any sense why Bryson Stott is still playing this poorly. But what I do understand is that the frustrations of the players are real. And you heard Schwarber express that. But the other part of it is he believes they will get out of it. He says that they have gone through losing streaks before like this, and he believes they will pull themselves out of it.
We've done this before. I think that's the thing to go back on, is that we've gone through similar things in the past, and we found our way to come out on the other side, and that's what we're going to have to be able to do, is come together.
And I think that is the interesting part of this. You let me know. 609-403-0973. And your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. The players believe they will find their way out of this. Schwarber says, hey, we've been through losing streaks like this before. The players are saying that if you go through the last couple seasons, the 2022, 2023 seasons, that they found their way out of bad losing streaks. Which is interesting because in my own mind, you don't think of the losing streaks as much in the past because of the reality that they made deep playoff runs. But in 2023, their longest losing streak was 6 games. And you may or may not remember, but this was a team that did struggle in May and July of that season. What about 2022? Well, that was the year they fired Joe Girardi and made Rob Thompson the manager. That season, their longest losing streak was 5 games. And they did it 3 times in 2022. So we're talking about a team that had a 6-game losing streak in 2023 and 3 5-game losing streaks in 2022. So then I ask, is it legitimate for me and you to trust the players that they will find their way out of it? I'm conflicted because for me, I look at the Phillies and I see a team that has a bad approach at the plate. Their hitters are not taking the right approach. That's why I asked the question yesterday here on 97.3 ESPN about, is potentially the real problem with this team not Rob Thompson? Is it maybe Kevin Long? Has Kevin Long lost his touch as the hitting coach? Or am I to believe that it's just the players taking a bad approach at the plate? And even Rob Thompson used the same word, frustrated. He understands how it is perceived by the fans. Rob Thompson last night after the loss.
They're frustrated, because they know that we're better than that. And our fans know that we're better than that. And we have very knowledgeable fans, and they let you know when you're not playing well. And hey, it is what it is. That's the game.
And I know that's an answer that people may not like. It's not a charismatic answer. It doesn't steal the headlines. It almost sounds like a laissez-faire, like, oh, well, it is what it is. But Rob Thompson believes the Phillies will turn this around. And I got to admit, it sounds a little like the same thing that Kyle Schwarber said.
Because we've been through this before, maybe not this prolonged, but you look at the numbers on the back of the baseball cards. I always bring that up. I believe in this team. They're resilient. They're tough. They care. I know we're going to turn around.
So both the manager and the players believe they will turn this around, in part because of who the players are, in part because of their history, in part because they've done it before. Is that enough for you to believe? Text board is open at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how Pat from Ocean City, he chimed in 2+ hours before the show started today because he wanted to be first in line to speak his mind. Pat from Ocean City says, I still don't think Rob Zombie, meaning Rob Thompson, needs to do anything. In 2011, Charlie Manuel came out to the media and said, do not blame Milt Thompson for the hitting woes. This is on the players. Rob Zombie, he means Rob Thompson, needs to sit the immature clown with a beard and stop. You got to change it up. Still, there's been no accountability from Rob Thompson. That's from Pat in Ocean City. Well, Pat, first of all, look, I understand where you're coming from, but I think the problem is, Pat, when it comes to your description of Rob Thompson, you're referring to a guy who is a laid-back manager, like Charlie Manuel was. You know, you mentioned in 2011 what Charlie Manuel said about Milt Thompson. You overlooked the fact that Charlie Manuel was always this kind of like, laid back, wasn't the most fiery, passionate guy in the world. And fans complained about Charlie Manuel and disliked Charlie before he won a championship. As soon as he won a championship, he was beloved, he was understood, he was appreciated. So I don't think there's a huge difference between Rob Thompson and Charlie Manuel. And again, that's 2011 Charlie Manuel. Charlie Manuel never said stuff like that in 2006, 2007, 8, 9, 10. So that was years into his tenure where he could basically have managed as long as he wanted. He was revered. So I don't think it's fair to compare Rob Thompson to Charlie Manuel in that sense. I understand for a lot of you Philadelphia sports fans, you don't like a manager like Rob Thompson. You like Larry Boa. You like the fiery manager. But the reality is the fiery manager doesn't win a lot of games in baseball anymore. I'm saying more and forever. Joe Torre wasn't the fieriest manager in the world, but he won a ton of World Series with the Yankees. Terry Francona won a bunch of World Series with the Red Sox, and he wasn't out there biting the umpire's head off all the time. I think that there's a perception that Rob Thompson doesn't care at times, and I don't think that's true at all. I just think Rob Thompson has just a low pulse. I just don't think he's a guy who's going to just... Rob Thompson is the opposite of Nick Sirianni, which is ironic because some of you out there hate when Nick Sirianni gets all emotional, but then you get mad that Rob Thompson doesn't get emotional. So it's like we got to find a middle ground there. To Pat from Ocean City's point about, and I believe when you mean the immature clown with the beard, you mean Brandon Marsh, and you mentioned Bryson Stott. The Stott issue, I don't have a good answer for it. I'm not trying to be dismissive of your point because you're 100% right. What Stott has done this year doesn't make any sense. And that's why I point to Kevin Long. Not because I'm a Kevin Long hater and I want people fired, but because how does a guy go from being an up-and-coming star in this league to a player who is seemingly unable to do anything right? Bryson Stott has gone from a guy with a 280 batting average last year to a 232 this year. That is an incredible drop-off. He went from having an on-base percentage of 329 to 309. Again, another serious drop-off. Slugging percentage, 419 last year, 343 this year. And if he continues the pace he's on, he will get nowhere near the 62 RBI that he had last year. He might get close to the stolen base number, but he's not going to get close to the RBI number. He has half the hits right now that he had last year. And it's only about 40 less games. So where do we draw the line between saying Bryson Stott is the problem and somebody is giving him bad advice? I said it a couple times this week. To me, I look at Stott as a guy who needs to be in a platoon. I think we need to give more at-bats to Edmundo Sosa. I've been saying that for a while, and I will continue to say that. It's my position, and I'm sticking to it. I don't think Stott needs to be playing as much as he is. I think we have gotten past the point where Stott is not going to hit himself out of this situation. He's not going to work his way out. He's not going to get, find a way. He's given us nothing this year that shows us that he can get out of this rut. Now, on the flip side, Brandon Marsh has. Because while many people can point to in the last 8 games, Brandon Marsh has an 0.40 batting average. Well, what about the previous 8 games? Well, before the most recent 8-game stretch, the past 9 games, he had 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, was batting .270. So, to me, the difference is that maybe Marsh needs a day off, Pat in Ocean City. But I think the problem with Stott is much deeper. And I think that's a little bit more of a conundrum. Sure, bench Marsh for a day, but I mean, what is that going to do? Am I supposed to get excited about that? Am I supposed to be like, oh man, they benched Brandon Marsh? No. I look at it as Marsh is a streaky hitter. He's not somebody that you can depend on, basically. He is what he is, right? That's kind of how I look at him. Charlie in Violent chimes in on the text board at 609-403-0973. Says, after last night's performance, I'm debating on going to the game tonight or not. The poor performance all around by this Phillies team. Ask Charlie from Violent. Charlie, I don't think you're alone. I think that for a Phillies team that has had really great attendance in the last few years, I would not be surprised that if they keep struggling the way they are, if the attendance for the next few home games drops off. Not that people aren't going to go and it's going to be like 5,000 people or something, but maybe instead of having 40,000, there'll be 30,000. There'll be 28,000, right? Because last night's game had 42,000 people. I have trouble believing we're going to see 42,000 again tonight. I know the Phillies have consistently been getting good attendance at home this year. But like I said, I think there's some frustration from the fans that will probably come out in attendance. I don't think Charlie in Millville is alone in that. Sorry, Charlie from Vineland is alone in that. Cole from LBI chimes in at 609-403-0970. Says, I would be extremely concerned if I was a Phillies fan about how the Phillies have played under 500 since June. The fact that they are below 500 in one-run games as well. It's the same thing that hurt them in the playoffs last year. They had trouble winning close games without playing small ball. But Cole, it goes back to the construction of the roster, right? It's the idea that, as I've said multiple times here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill, Dave Dombrowski said, we are going to out-hit our problems. He has said multiple times that we have an offense that we have invested a lot of money and a lot of resources in, that we are expecting them to bash our way, smash our way out of this. So if they built the team with that idea in mind, something's got to change, Cole from LBI. They can't be just like, well, we'll eventually come around. No, they got to, put up or shut up at this point. It's really getting difficult. And as I said, the word frustrated is the word of the day. Everyone keeps saying they're frustrated, but is saying you're frustrated enough? Doesn't sound like it is for Phillies fans. I'll get to more your text a little bit later this hour. Keep them coming at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Coming up next, Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hi, I'm Larry Mintz. When dealing with a workers' compensation claim, in most cases, the injured worker doesn't get the money they're entitled to. That's why you need the right lawyer. When injured on the job, call us first. We'll speak with you for free and get you all the money and benefits you deserve.
Make the right call to Goldenberg Mackler. Call us at 609-344-7131. That's 609-344-7131. Or visit us online at gmslaw.com.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Krispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Getting behind the wheel after drinking could change your world. Bobby here had a great time at the party and thought he was good to drive home. Now, Bobby's facing jail time, an upset wife, disappointed parents, and up to a $10,000 fine. It only takes one bad decision to change your world forever. Getting behind the wheel after you've been drinking is one of them. Drive sober or get pulled over. Learn HTSA.gov. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-727-9105. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-727-9105. 800-727-9105. 800-727-9105.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant for pits, feet, and privates that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code SHOWER and get 15% off your first purchase with code SHOWER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER for 15% off your first purchase. With over 200,000 five-star reviews, I am so sure you're going to love it. Or return it for free with Lumi's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER to save 15% today.
When you were young, all you wanted in the summer was an ice cream truck to roll by. Now, you just can't wait for the Harbor Freight parking lot sale to roll around. And it'll be here this weekend. Maybe you're looking to fill out that tool chest. Maybe you're looking for a tool chest to fill up. You'll save money either way. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until August 18th, 2024. While supplies last. Limitations apply.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Bennett Chevy's end of summer blowout. Hurry in now for deals you can't find anywhere else. Our best deals of the year. Like $500 below GM supplier employee prices on new Chevys. Yes, you pay $500 less than our employees pay. Plus, Bennett gives you all the rebates. That could save you up to 10% on your new Chevy. Save even more with available 0.9% financing. And Bennett Chevy is South Jersey's EV headquarters with a great selection of EVs, hybrids, SUVs, and Chevy trucks. And right now, we're paying a whopping 10 grand minimum for any old trade. We don't care if it runs, just get it here. That's at least $10,000 for total junk towards any pre-owned in stock. Imagine how much we'll pay for a good trade.
And our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So you'll love your no-hassle, no-haggle experience.
Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Just for Mike Gill here in a Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to text board in just a bit as the text board is popping off at 609-403-0973. Kyle Schwarber and Rob Thompson, a similar message last night. They said people are frustrated, the players are frustrated, the fans are frustrated, but they believe that they have turned it around. They can turn it around. They've done it before. They say they can do it again. The Phillies had 3 5-game losing streaks during the 2022 season when they went to the World Series. So we'll ask Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, is it enough for Philly fans to believe when Rob Thompson and Kyle Schwarber say that they're frustrated, but they will turn it around?
Yeah, well, I would suggest or hope that fans would head over to PressOfAC.com and take a look at my latest must-win. 2 weeks ago, I told you all is calm, don't push the panic button. Today, panic away. Push that panic button as hard as you can. This situation right now is not trending in a good direction, and this team must stop it immediately. And it starts tonight, and it's going to need more than just words. It's going to need actual actions on the baseball field.
So you mentioned action. What is an action that can be done? Like, for example, we had people texting in saying Rob Thompson needs to bench Bryson Stott, or people are saying that they need to shake up the batting lineup. Like, is that doing something like that enough action for you, Mike McGarry?
Yeah, well, again, in the must-win I just wrote at PressOfAC.com, I kind of single out Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott only for the reasons that they are not producing, and they are young players. They don't have the track record of the veterans. And look, the veterans haven't been good. Trey Turner has turned every ground ball into an adventure at shortstop. Bryce Harper has not been good. Schwarber has not been good. JT Realmuto has been awful since he's come back. But Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott, and I have the articles, the statistics in the article, the must-win that I wrote, they have been terrible. They are not Supreme Court justices. They are not guaranteed positions for life. Get these guys out of here. I don't care what you've got to do. Take them out of the batting order and play Armando Sosa in the case of Bryson Stott. I would even think about sending 1 or 2 of them back to AAA for 2 weeks. You cannot tolerate this performance. You know, Josh, this is not, I heard you talking about 5-game losing streak, a bad weekend, bad week. They are 24-30 since they got back from London. That is 54 games. That is exactly 33% of the season. They are 6 games under 500. You look at their overall record, they're 69-50, right? So what do they have? 43 games left in the regular season? We thought this team was going to win 100-something games this year. They are in danger if they keep playing at the current pace of not winning 90 games. 90. So something has got to change, and this lack of performance cannot be tolerated. And unfortunately, you can't send a message to Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Realmuto, Schwarber, Castellanos, because they're veterans with big salaries. But you can send a message with Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott, and that message has to be sent.
It goes back to the question I asked a couple days ago, talking with Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City, his must-win columns over at thepressofatlanticcity.com. When you think about the 93 Phillies team, that team was a heavy platoon team, right? They did not have many guys on that team who were starting every day. So I don't understand why we need Stott and Marsh to play every day if they're not contributing. Like you said, if Edmundo Sosa is the better player right now, well, who cares, about Stott's feelings or whatever, right? Like, I don't understand why in 2024, the Phillies just can't be like, you know what? This guy's playing better. Bryson, you're going to sit until Sosa can't hit anymore.
Well, I believe that's where we've got to get to. Those guys do not have the track record. Rob Thompson talked last night. He always talks about the back of the baseball card. Well, JT Realmuto's got a back of the baseball card. Bryce Harper's got a back of the baseball card. Trey Turner has a back of the baseball card. Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott's back of the baseball card goes 1 or 2 years. I think the biggest disappointment so far in this Philly season has been Stott and Marsh's inability to take the next step forward and become players, everyday players that people envision them being. Now, they got away with it early in the season when Ranger Suarez was throwing zeros up on the scoreboard and Jeff Hoffman and Matt Strom were striking everybody out. But they're not getting away with it now when this whole team is headed south. And again, I go back to something. 69-50, 43 games left. This team has basically got to play 500, and if they play 500, they're going to win just over 90 games. Josh, we all thought this team was going to win 100, 500, 600, 700, 8 games, a couple months ago. They're going to struggle to get to 90 now. This has to stop, or it's going to be, or there's going to be changes made. And if they don't make the changes now in the regular season, they're going to make them after the season.
Well, speaking of changes, Mike, I've asked this question before, and I'll ask it to you here. Do we have to point the finger a bit at Kevin Long? I mean, this is a major statistical drop-off by Bryson Stott from last year to this year. Remember, the whole point of acquiring Brandon Marsh was, well, Kevin Long will fix him, right? At what point is it the players, and at what point is it the hitting coach?
Well, it's always the players to me, especially in baseball. I understand things can be tweaked, have philosophies of hitting, things like that. Kevin Long has been a successful hitting coach in the big leagues for a long time. Changing a hitting coach now or a pitching coach now is not going to do you a whole lot of good. Changing it after the season, yeah, those changes could come if this team continues to play like it has, over the last 54 games. But I don't think making those changes now, I always put the onus on the players, not the coaches, so far. Because, Kevin Long was the hitting coach last year when Bryson Stott looked poised to take the next step. He just hasn't taken it this year. That's not Kevin Long's fault. That's Bryson Stott's fault.
Okay, so basically, and I'm not sure to put words in your mouth, but you're saying, look, if you want to have a conversation about the coaching staff after the year, we can have it then. But right here on August 14th, we got to look, solely at the players.
Absolutely. And what I mean by changes, look, they collapse and they continue down this path, or they're eliminated early in the postseason. Then I think you're looking at, changes in personnel. And I think, you might look at the manager at that point and say, maybe we need a different voice here or different coaches or whatever, if this continues on the path they're going right now. But right now, August 14th, changing coaches, I agree. The players have just got to get their act together. Kyle Schwarber said last night that he doesn't think any changes are needed, that they have talented guys in the clubhouse to get it done. Well, go get it done. It's August 14th. This team is 7-16 since the All-Star break. Only the Chicago White Sox, the lowly Chicago White Sox, are worse. So it is time to panic, and it is time to start winning, and it has to start tonight. And this is a problem that can't be solved with one win tonight. I reserve judgment. This has got to take 2 to 3 weeks of them playing better to turn it around before I feel about this team the way I felt in April, May, and June.
So if I can backtrack to something you just said, because what you just said, I know there are people in our listening audience here on 97.3 ESPN are pumping their fists at the radio right now, Mike, not against you, but in agreement with you, because you mentioned about Rob Thompson about, is there a possibility they may need to change the person, the voice in that clubhouse? If this team doesn't make a deep postseason run, what percentage of a hot seat are you putting on Rob Thompson then? And how likely is it that Rob Thompson wouldn't be here?
Well, I think if this team continues to play like they have so far and finishes out the season like they have so far, and they get eliminated early from the playoffs, then all bets are off, and I wouldn't be surprised at anything they do. If they sort of right the ship and get in the playoffs, win a series or two, make a run at the World Series, then I think things are safe. You know, but if this team keeps playing like this, where they're arguably the worst team in baseball, throwing the Chicago White Sox out since the All-Star break, who knows what's going to happen once the regular season ends. That's why I'm advocating for changes now. Shake it up now so you can maybe get back on a winning way, and you don't have to make big changes in the offseason. Because the way the Phillies are playing right now, this loses jobs. I mean, JT Realmuto throwing the ball in the left field. Again, Trey Turner. Can he feel a ground ball? Every ground ball hit to him is an adventure.
Yes.
And then catches it. You're holding your breath because you don't know if he's going to throw it in the first base stands. It's ridiculous.
Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City doing his best Chris Mad Dog Russo impersonation here on 97.3 ESPN. I feel like I'm listening to Mad Dog right now. I'm not listening to Mike McGarry anymore here.
Look, go PressOfAC.com. I must win. 2 weeks ago, I told you to relax. Now I'm telling you, get out on the ledge. It's time to panic. Push the panic button. Whatever you got to do, because this team right now is headed in the wrong direction. And this is not a little slump. This team is playing sloppy baseball. This team got, basically shut out by a guy who's making his fifth major league start last night, who throws the ball 90 miles an hour. I mean, they've got to correct this, and they've got to correct it in a hurry.
Well, part of the reason why people are panicking also, Mike, is you mentioned a couple minutes ago about Geoff Hoffman. And this bullpen was a strength and a staple of this team with Hoffman and Strom in the first half. And at the time of the deadline, it looked like a good move when they upgraded Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony Dominguez, right? They bring in a new righty, a new lefty to replace Dominguez and replace Soto, and you thought that was enough. But I got to tell you, Mike, now I look back on the deadline, and I'm getting Sixer vibes. I'm getting Daryl Morey only acquiring Buddy Hield and doing nothing else at the deadline. Is it fair to say right now that Dave Dombrowski did not do enough at the deadline?
Well, we'll see. The one thing I will say about the bullpen is Hoffman pitched well last night, I thought. But on the flip side, Estevez gave up a home run. And right now, I don't have a lot of faith in Estevez in a big spot. Even though he's pitched just a couple of games for the Phillies, hasn't looked like a world beater to me. Gives up the home run last night. So, yeah, it's it's everything. It's starting pitching. It's bullpen. It's batting order. It's the stars not hitting. It's the role players not hitting. The whole situation is not good, and that's why you're 7-16 since the All-Star break, and only the Chicago White Sox are worse at 2-21. So this is a team that is in big trouble. Now there's time to fix it. There's 42, 43 games left. There's plenty of time to fix it. There's plenty of time to get hot. We've seen teams get hot in September. We saw the Diamondbacks last year. We saw the Phillies in 2022. We saw the Nationals in 2019. We saw the Braves in 21. Particularly in the National League, we've seen teams get hot, go on playoff runs. But right now, this team doesn't look like it's ready to run anywhere except to the golf course in the offseason.
Mike, with all that being said, before I let you go, somebody texted in earlier. They said about how they were considering about going to the game tonight, but now with this losing streak, they are not. The Phillies have had really good attendance this year. Is there a possibility during this home stretch that the fans and attendance start waning a bit?
Well, I don't think attendance starts waning, but I think the fans start exercising their their views with their lungs. They did it last night. The boos were out quickly for Taijuan Walker in the first inning. There were plenty of boos when Bryson Stott grounded out to end that game. Hey, the ballpark is a great place to be. It's a fun place to be. Even if your team is the 62 Mets, the ballpark is still a good place to be on a summer night. So I tell everybody, come on out to the ballpark and enjoy yourself. However, I think those fans are going to express their displeasure with their lungs if the Phillies continue to play like this.
He's Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. Follow him on the Twitter platform at AC Press McGarry and all of his coverage of the Phillies and more at pressofatlanticcity.com. Mike, appreciate you jumping on today and enjoy the game tonight no matter what the outcome is.
All right, folks. We'll see you down the road. Thank you.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, live in the Ocean Casino Resort studios. And, of course, don't forget, we will be giving away tickets coming up on the show to go see Andrew Scholes Saturday, August 24th at Ovation Hall. We have tickets for you. Couple pairs today, couple pairs tomorrow. Tune in. We learn next hour how you can win a pair of tickets right here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. More your texts coming up on the other side, 609-403-0973, and your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
We have the Phillies covered.
Swing and a high fly ball, well struck left field towards the corner. That's got a chance, and that is gone. Home run, JT Realmuto.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Sassy Cafe and Suites in Mullica Township for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
Get in the zone.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
Get in the zone.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Fall's coming. You have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve, so this fall make a plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are going to need a bigger cake.
Now through September 22nd, get fast, reliable, 300 megabit Xfinity internet for just $30 a month for 12 months with no annual contract and unlimited data included. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless bill and an autopay with stored bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Currently $80 a month. Actual speeds vary.
You know, it only takes one bad decision to change your life, and riding after drinking can be one of those. It can lead to impaired reflexes, poor judgment, and then disaster. Think about it. Even one drink affects your ability to ride. Alcohol can limit your reaction time and give you a false sense of confidence. You think it'll never happen to you, but it can. So, if you hit the bottle, don't roll the throttle. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1, and literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for $2. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for a buck? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Hi, I'm Caesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Trevor Noah is bringing his new off-the-record tour to Atlantic City.
I wonder if that's how the dinosaurs went out, you know?
There's an asteroid coming down to Earth.
How the dinosaurs were like, asteroids are not real. It's a hoax.
Don't miss Trevor Noah live on stage.
Well, the dinosaurs were running around in panic. Ah, the dust is everywhere. Wear a mask. The T-Rex was like, I can't.
Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort, Friday, August 23rd. Get tickets now at theoceanac.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app.
Josh Hennig. Get the text board. Coming up next hour, I'm going to tell you how you can win tickets to go see Andrew Schultz at Ovation Hall inside Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City on Saturday, August 24th. That'll be the next hour. But right now, it's promised. Text board is open, 649-403-0973. A lot of people commenting on the Phillies. Tom from the Phillies said, I think people need to remember a few things. The manager is given a script to follow each game. It's not all his fault. Number two, it's a 162-game season. A lot can happen in those games. Unfortunately, the bad is happening now. The Phillies, I want to say it's a long season. There's plenty of time to turn around. Tom of the Phillies is correct on both of those fronts, but I do have one slight disagree with him. So I want to tell you what I agree with. You're 100% right. It is not all Rob Thompson's fault. Rob Thompson does what the people above him want. Joe Girardi didn't follow the script. He didn't follow the game plan. Part of the reason why he was fired. A lot of times in baseball, when managers get fired, it's because they're not doing what the front office wants. So keep that in mind when it comes to Rob Thompson. He's 100% right. And you're also right that it's a long season, a lot can happen. But I think, Tom, the reason why I don't think it's as simple as saying there's plenty of time to turn around is because, as Mike McGarry was saying, some of these are patterns. Some of these are Bryce Scott has not played well all season, right? It's the idea that Brandon Marsh has been streaky all year. It's the fact that you theoretically could have done more at the deadline, and you didn't. It's the fact that, as Mike McGarry said, the Phillies have a losing record since returning from London. So I just have a lot of questions about the team moving forward. I hope you're right. I hope they do a play that turnaround. But the problem is running out of plenty of time, and now it's becoming much sooner than that. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in and says, "It's down Heritage Night at the Bank, so expect to sell out." Yeah, probably. It's weird because some of these nights, Heritage Nights, doesn't matter if you're playing well or not. So, good point. Jeff from EHT, a different Jeff says, "Is the dog days something we really think is going to win 116 games? Come on, they're built for the playoffs." I will say this, Jeff from EHT. I didn't think they'd win 116 games, but I thought they'd win at least 100 something. And with winning streak you think they're more like a 95 win team when it's all said and done than 105. I don't think a lot of fans thought they were going to win 100. I think that's more of a gross exaggeration. I hear what you're saying. More sports next for 973 ESPN.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2024 preseason tomorrow night in New England against the Listen to all the action with Errol Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. and kickoff at 7. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey Eagles Station.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products, just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Join Atlantic County Harley-Davidson on September 14th for a salute to the troops, where they honor our heroes. Celebrate with them as they pay tribute to our active and retired military service members and first responders. Let's show our appreciation for those who serve, keep us safe, and allow us to ride free. Enter for your chance to win a 2024 Road Glide Limited and other amazing prizes. See you at Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, September 14th. Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, where heroes ride. Go to acharley.com for details.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It only happens once a year. The summer clearance sale at Matt Blatt Kia. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matt Blatt Kia wants to approve you today. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0%. So if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, we want to get you released. Then take $7,500 off MSRP or 0% for 48 months and no payments for 90 days on every clearly marked EV in stock. Plus, with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you can drive with peace of mind.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Nero EV and EV6, 2083 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. EV6 rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 9/3/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
It's universal.
Can I get a root canal instead?
People strongly dislike the process of moving.
Please, anything.
anything but moving.
Because let's face it, it's hard. But if you've got to do it, make it as painless as possible.
Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. Use Clark's Moving and Storage for your next local or long-distance move. Visit Clark's Moving and Storage online at clarksmoving.net.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Mike Gill.
Three o'clock hour of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. Now being brought to you by Broadleaf Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadleaf is your trusted source for air conditioning, heating, and plumbing service, and installation, plus maintenance for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleaf.net. Don't forget, still to come, we got football for Geoff Bush joins the show from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. Nick Nuggets at 4:30. All that stuff from Nick Earnshaw, whatever's going on in his mind today. Plus, Matt Gelb from the Athletic. We'll get back to the Phillies with Matt Gelb as well coming up at 5 p.m. tonight. And Weinberg Wednesday on the Sports Bash. So Dave Weinberg will join me on the Sports Bash at 5:25 tonight. Right now, it's promised. This is the hour for you to win a pair of tickets to go see Andrew Schultz perform Saturday, August 24th. So now there's two shows that day. These are the tickets for the 10:30 show at Ovation Hall, Saturday, August 24th. So if you want to get a pair of tickets, these tickets are almost completely sold out for both shows. All right? Ocean Casino Resort was kind enough to give 97.3 ESPN a call and say, look, we know your listeners want to go see this guy. We have put aside a couple tickets just for your listeners. What you got to do? We're talking football right now. Text in to 609-403-0973. Tell me, what is a realistic expectation that you have for the Eagles this year? Will they be better than last year, and why? Text the word ocean and your thoughts on the Eagles. Because I've been really trying to consume as much football content as possible. I'm with Terry and Galloway. There's a part of me that says I don't even care about baseball anymore. I can't wait for football season. Those don't know well enough. You've been listening to 97.3 for the last several years. You should know by now that football is my favorite sport. So if I ever have an excuse to talk football, no matter what time is here, I'm going to talk it. And there were a couple of comments made this week by different individuals that definitely made me think about why the Eagles will be better this year. And one of them is by an Eagles player. One of them is by an Eagles coach. And one of those comments, we played it before, but I'm going to bring it back for you again, is by a former player as well. I don't think it's a coincidence the Philadelphia Eagles are in the spotlight today. Because when you look at this roster right now, there are distinct position battles going on. Inside linebacker, outside corner, nickel corner, backup safety. They're all on the defensive side of the ball. I understand that the national media has talked a lot about Nick Sirianni. They've talked a lot about Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni don't play defense. The Eagles' defense was borderline an abomination last year. They were among the worst in the NFL in points allowed per game. They were among the worst in the NFL in pass defense. They were so horrible last year that even when they changed the defensive play caller from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia, they got worse. You could argue that they lost 2 games of that 6-7 games they lost in the year. They could have won 2 of those games if the defense didn't play like trash. If the defense didn't play horrible. Because guess what? They did play bad. Brandon Graham has pointed to coaching as being a difference from last year to this year. This was Brandon Graham on ESPN radio.
I didn't think we had all the right coaches in the proper spots that could help us, whatever Desai's message was. Because it was just a bunch of miscommunication. That's all. That's what I would just say. It was just miscommunication that I know how we regretted after the season.
Funny because we've heard reports telling us that there was a lot of communication problems among the Eagles' defensive coaches. A lot of issues when it came to Sean Desai communicating with his players. Brandon Graham said this to the media at training.
We got a good coach in Clint, and I really think that last year we just didn't. That's what we didn't have. We didn't have all the right coaches in the right position. You could just see the guys really believing in what we got going on. I'm excited for the young guys that just came in and new rookies coming in. We're really gonna get a good shot. We'll take the rookies.
We can talk all the way about the offense. Gill and Hurt, okay? I understand that's what the hot take artists, what the people like to get calls, like to get people all riled up with opinions and stuff. That's what they like to talk about, right? But I'm here to tell you that, to me, the reason why the Eagles will be better this year is because of the defense. I think Vic Fangio is going to have a tremendous impact in changing how this team is moving forward. And I think part of it is because of who Vic Fangio is. Fangio is going to play the best players. He's not going to play guys because they're the veteran or they should play. Like, did anybody think Isaiah Rodgers would be getting this many first-team reps ahead of Quinyon Mitchell in training camp? I didn't think so, for sure. Did anybody think that Quinyon Mitchell would be getting this many first-team reps ahead of Avonte Maddox at training camp? I certainly didn't think so. Well, Vic Fangio explained that he wants to play the best players.
I'm all for playing the best guys. I think if you looked at my history when we've had rookies, we've played them. And provided they're good enough. We ain't playing somebody just because they're young. You know, if we were an expansion team like I was in 2 places, we might just throw them out there to see what we got. But we got more serious business here. So if they're worthy of playing, they will play.
I think that's one of the biggest changes from last year to this year is the coaching. Brandon Graham mentioned it. We've heard other players mention about how the coaching was a problem last year, right? Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, they've all mentioned it. The Eagles told you indirectly that coaching was a problem last year by firing 90% of the coaching staff from last year. This organization looked at the defensive side of the ball and said this was unacceptable for the level of talent that we have. Remember, for as frustrated as we were with the Eagles offense, they were still top 10 in the NFL in scoring. It's not like the Eagles offense fell off a cliff last year. The biggest problem was on the defensive side of the ball. And when I heard Lane Johnson say this to Chris Long on the Greenlight podcast, it really started making me wonder if we have underestimated or not talked enough about how Vic Fangio may be the difference in this team's success this year.
We're so used to like, basic defenses in our training camp, and every now and then you would see a defense like his 2 or 3 times a year, maybe. Yeah. But now we're getting all the hard stuff and all of our hard calls kind of out of the way. So when it goes back to, playing other teams, it should be a lot simpler.
Think about that for a minute. He said we would typically see a defense like Vic Fangio's a couple times a year, maybe 3 times a year. He says now we're seeing that defense in practice. It's going to make it simpler for us during the season. Again, this is a team that was averaging 25 points per game last year. 7th in the NFL in points per game scored. This is an offense that I understand it was not as good as the year before, okay? In numerous statistical categories. But you obviously upgraded the offensive coordinator. To me, the big question is Vic Fangio enough to fix the defense? A defense that was the 2nd worst in the NFL of the past. They were 3rd worst in points allowed per game. And don't forget, they were bottom 10 in the NFL on turnovers forced. They were bad, folks. We don't talk enough about how the defense lost them the Cardinals game on New Year's Eve. How the defense was pathetic against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. If those 2 games are played differently, who knows how that season ends? And the Eagles have 2 more wins by the end of the year. Do they end up playing Tampa in the postseason? Maybe they don't. Maybe they play somebody else. Maybe the team doesn't have such bad vibes. Maybe the team doesn't have so much negativity and bad energy. Maybe this team would have been better. And considering how bad it got last year, now, take it as you will. Zech McPherson is a backup on the Eagles. He's a guy fighting for a roster spot. But this is what he said about last year.
It's so tricky to get into, and obviously in my position, I can't really say too much, but I just felt like we lost sight of the goal in a way. That goes everybody included, from coaches all the way down to the players. But I mean, it was just we were in such a rough spot. We tried to dig ourselves out, but we just couldn't stop the bleeding.
Couldn't stop the bleeding. Players, coaches, everybody lost sight of the goal. So now you got a coordinator who says, I'm going to play the best players. You got players saying, man, this Fangio is already making a difference. And the coaches under him are already making a difference. So the reason why I believe the Eagles will be better this year is because the defense will be better. And I think when your defense, which was so bad last year, I mean, people forget how many games they allowed 30-plus points last year. 7 games they allowed 30-plus points. Now, you might not remember that because they won 3 of those games. 2 of them against Washington. But we all remember it's not like Washington was a great football team last year. And you allowed 31 points twice to them. And the other game that you beat a team by allowing 30 points was the Buffalo Bills in overtime in the rain at home. And I was there, and I remember the energy in that crowd. You could argue that those players started feeding off the energy in the crowd. I've never seen Jalen Hurts that emotional after a win before in my life. So you look over last season and you realize that even as far back as week 2, when they allowed 28 points to the Vikings, you found out very quickly that this defense was not ready for prime time. So you guys let me know. How are you feeling about the Eagles this year? Is Vic Fangio enough of an upgrade for you to believe in this defense again? 609-403-0973 is the text board. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And if you want to go win tickets to go see Andrew Scholl's Saturday, August 24th, the 10:30 p.m. show at Ovation Hall inside Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, text Ocean along with your thoughts on the Eagles at 609-403-0973. Also, leave your name as well so I can give you credit for it. Geoff from Ocean City chimes in and says, I'm starting with a division title for the Eagles, and we're going to go from there. I think there's still a lot of questions, but I think this is an 11-6 team. Well, my question for Geoff from Ocean City is they were 11-6 last year as well. So it sounds like to me, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Geoff from Ocean City, so please text back and let me know. It sounds like to me that you have questions that were not answered by the changes at coordinator. It sounds like to me that if you're saying they're an 11-6 team this year, and they were also an 11-6 team last year, to me, that sounds like that you are saying that they are going to lose the same number of games as last year. If they're winning to lose the same number of games as last year, does that mean they're not better than last year? Because if I'm to project this schedule, right, where would I find 6 losses on the schedule this year? Probably at Cincinnati and at Baltimore. Well, that's 2 already right there. Do you lose the game at Dallas? Do you lose the game at the Rams? I'm mostly looking at road games for losses here. Do they lose again in Tampa? They won the regular season last year, but they lost in the postseason. Are you losing the game at home versus Cleveland or Jacksonville? Are you losing the home game against the Steelers? Because I'm running out of places to find 6 losses, Geoff from Ocean City. So I need a little more explanation from you. A little more from Geoff from Ocean City. Text board 609-403-0973. An anonymous texter chimed in and says, the Birds going to the Super Bowl. They're going to go 13-4. They're going to beat the 49ers in a shootout. We will split the season games with Dallas, and we'll lose 1 to New York or Washington along the way. We will lose to the Ravens and the Rams. Okay, time out. So you're saying losses to the Ravens and the Rams, 1 loss to Dallas, and 1 more random NFC East loss. I would assume it's Washington. I think New York's going to be really bad this year. I think their offense without Saquon is going to look worse than people realize. I think Washington is probably going to surprise people. I know that we haven't done like win totals for like the NFC East yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Washington gets the over on the win total, in part because they've cleaned out a lot of the toxic nature of that organization from years past. I think Dan Quinn's going to breathe a new fresh air in that organization. San Francisco has got a lot of problems to figure out. They don't know what they're doing with Brandon Ayuk. They don't know what they're doing with Trent Williams. Those are 2 guys that got to be figured out and signed at some point. And then Christian McCaffrey is injured in training camp. It's a calf injury. And anytime you get a soft tissue injury, I worry. I'm concerned. So I don't think San Francisco is going to be as much of a monster, much of a powerhouse as they've been in years past. 13-4, though. All right. That's one prediction for the upcoming season. 609-403-0973. Another anonymous texter. We'll call him Mr. 943. Mr. 943 says, new defensive coordinator will stabilize the defense and do enough to hold teams, and the offense will be able to outscore them. Couldn't stop the bleeding last year. It sounds like this year's Phillies. Wow. I mean, you just had to sling the mud back on the Phillies. We've been talking about football for about 18 minutes, but you had to throw the Phillies back under the bus when you had the chance. Wow. What a text. David in Vineland chimes in at 609-403-0973. 0973. I think this season the Eagles will develop a new identity. Dave from Violence says the players will buy into the new veteran leadership with their skills. An obvious improvement on defense will lead to a 12-13 win season in the division title. My expectations for this season are to win an NFC championship and for us to know what we're in for the next few years. Can I hit on the last part really quick? David Violence says we're going to know what we're in for the next few years. That is a fabulous point by David and Violent. The rest of it is subjective, right? It's opinion-based. But that's a more objective take by David and Violent in the last part. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship, Keely Ringo. These are all guys on the defense. Bryce Huff. These are all guys on the defense side of the ball who are mid to early 20s. They all are going to have roles in some capacity this year. Do all of them step up? Can Nakobe Dean fulfill the hope and the promise that came with him coming out of college? You know, Keely Ringo was a 5-star recruit, but he's also one of the youngest guys in this roster. How does his maturity develop? Can Quinyon Mitchell take playing time away from other guys on this team? Is Reed Blankenship going to be able to step up and grow into a role next to CJ Garner-Johnson? Can Nolan Smith be the pass rusher that we all hoped he can be? Is Bryce Huff going to be worth the money and letting go of Hassan Reddick? It's a great point by David and Violent. Because what David and Violent is saying is basically, look, man, you look at this Eagles team, we're going to learn a lot about this team this year. And we're going to know exactly what kind of team we can expect to have for the next few years. Because even if the Eagles go 12-5 this year, right, to use David and Violent's point of 12-13 wins, they can go 12-5, which is only a 1-win improvement over last year. But you can feel a lot better about this team at the end and say, you know what? They didn't win a championship, but man, that defense looks way better than it did before. That offense looks way better than it did before. I mean, what if you lose in the NFC Championship game 30-27 on a last-second field goal? You're not going to have the same bad vibes that you had coming out of 2023. You are not going to have the same dark cloud hanging over your head for 6-7 months. I mean, it was to a point where I was wearing an Eagles shirt a few months ago during the offseason. Somebody told me to cover up the Eagles symbol because they still had not emotionally recovered from the Eagles season. So David and Violent is 100% right. We are going to learn this year exactly what kind of team we are going to be for years to come. All right, more of your texts coming up, 609-403-0973. We're also taking qualifiers. If you want tickets to go see Andrew Scholes perform at Ocean Casino's Ovation Hall on Saturday, August 24th, text Ocean with your thoughts, your expectations for the Eagles season this year. More of your texts coming up on the other side, 609-403-0973. Again, you can qualify for a pair of tickets to go see Andrew Scholes in Atlantic City at Ovation Hall, the 10:30 show. We only have a handful of these tickets left. Ocean Casino Resort, always hooking us up here on 97.3 ESPN, saying, you know what, 97.3? Your audience wants to go see Andrew Schultz. We're going to put aside a couple of these pair of tickets because we're almost sold out. It's 10:30 show. It's one of the hottest tickets in town. And you can go see him. All you got to do to qualify is text Ocean and your thoughts on the Eagles this year. 609-403-0973. More of your messages coming up next. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Bennett Chevy's end of summer blowout. Hurry in now for deals you can't find anywhere else. Our best deals of the year. Like $500 below GM supplier employee prices on new Chevys. Yes, you pay $500 less than our employees pay. Plus, Bennett gives you all the rebates. That could save you up to 10% on your new Chevy. Save even more with available 0.9% financing. And Bennett Chevy is South Jersey's EV headquarters with a great selection of EVs, hybrids, SUVs, and Chevy trucks. And right now, we're paying a whopping 10 grand minimum for any old trade. We don't care if it runs, just get it here. That's at least $10,000 for total junk towards any pre-owned in stock. Imagine how much we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So you'll love your no-hassle, no-haggle experience. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
High five! Up top! Heck yeah! Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Yeah, 5 years! It's 5 years of gig speed internet. High five for gig speed. 5 years of advanced security. Security win. And 5 years of a great rate that won't change. Our rate ain't changing. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. There it is. He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread. Woohoo! Now he's got savings. I'm so excited. Yep. Dave's feeling it, but it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business. And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is great because you're rarely rewarded for just being you. Ever get rewarded for being left-handed? No. You get to use weird scissors. Your reward for being a Capricorn? Cold birthdays that conflict with the holidays. And your reward for quickly responding to every work email? More emails. But with Snapshot, even left-handed Capricorns with proper email etiquette could get rewarded for good driving. So download the Progressive app today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The Phillies continue to struggle. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Phillies lost their first game of the homestand last night, 5-0 to the Miami Marlins, and continue to struggle. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, does Rob Thompson have to dramatically shake up the lineup tonight? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. I think he does. Something needs to change, and even if it's temporarily, they change the lineup for a couple games here and there, and then maybe go back to what they normally would want to do and have the lineup be, that is okay. It's okay to change things up every once in a while, especially if you're in a losing drought. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Joey, let's get some drive-thru.
Yeah, bro. Food.
I'm going to have to ask you to step out of the car, sir. Joey, Joey, let's get some drive-through, man.
Let's order delivery instead.
If you feel different, you drive different, and driving high is a DUI. If you think no one can tell you're high, think again. Your friends, family, and especially law enforcement can see right through it. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high and get a DUI. Brought to you by NHTSA.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our next storm system holds off until the weekend. That means we get to enjoy 2 more splendid summer days before rain returns to the forecast. Mainly clear and comfortable tonight, low of 65. Tomorrow, partly sunny and seasonably warm, high of 86. 87 on Friday, turning mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms at night. Pockets of rain and thunderstorms this weekend with breaks of dry weather in between. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Sassy Cafe and Suites in Mullica Township for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free.
Out of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by Brawley's Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning. Brawley's is your trusted source for air conditioning and heating service and installation, along with plumbing, maintenance, and service for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleys.net. As promised, back to the text board at 609-403-0907. We'll dig deeper on the Eagles with Geoff Mosher on Football at 4 coming up in less than 30 minutes from now. But we've been asking you guys if you want to qualify for tickets to go see Andrew Scholes perform at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City Saturday, August 24th inside Ovation Hall. There's a select number of tickets left for the 10:30 show. This is almost completely sold out. So if you want to get a pair of tickets, you qualify by texting Ocean and your thoughts on the Eagles right now to 609-403-0973. So let's read your text now. Chris from Millville chimes in and says, the upgrades in the coaching and the secondary players is good, but the linebackers and pass rush is still questionable. Chris and Millville, I think it gets kind of back to what David and Violent was saying. The idea that we're going to find out who this team is this year because Nakobe Dean, linebacker, Zach Bond, linebacker, Devin White, linebacker. Those are all 3 guys who have a lot to prove this year to show that the Eagles did enough to address the linebacker issue. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., he's a rookie. What will he play this year? I mean, we have heard different people who cover the Eagles say they expect Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to get playing time this year. You mentioned the pass rush. This is the question about Hassan Reddick. You take Hassan Reddick off the field for this team. 2 productive years. Hassan Reddick has had double-digit sacks 4 straight years for 4 different defensive coordinators. The Eagles said, we're not going to give him a contract extension. We're going to give some of that money that would have gone to Hassan Reddick and give it to Bryce Huff. Is Bryce Huff a good enough pass rusher to offset the loss of Hassan Reddick? Can Josh Sweat take that next step as a pass rusher? Will Jalen Carter do more than 6 sacks that he had last year? Yeah, everybody loves this guy. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Brandon Graham, all think very highly of Jalen Carter. Lane Johnson on the offense side of the ball, as well as Jordan Mailata. These guys think this guy's a stud. Well, he's got to play like it. Because guess what? If Jalen Carter is anywhere close to his potential this year, it makes the pass rush for the Eagles and the entire defense way better. He may be the most important player on this team. And Lane Johnson thinks that Jalen Carter has the chance to be the best player on this team. Well, if Jalen Carter's the best player on this team, I think that fixes your pass rush problem. Okay? Because if he's blowing up the offensive lines week in and week out, that's going to make everyone else's job getting to the quarterback a lot easier. Bobby chimes in on the text board at 609-403-0973. Says the Eagles will be better simply because he says simply because of the coaches. Okay, that's fine. Not the biggest explanation in the world, but thank you, Bobby, for chiming in on the text board. Tim and Marmora at 609-403-0973 says, obviously the Eagles will be better. It's impossible for them to be worse. Tim and Marmora. That's the spirit, Tim. Yep, that's the spirit, Tim. Just turn around and be like, well, we can't be worse. Which, listen, he's not wrong, okay? The defense was among the worst in the league last year statistically. I told you guys, they were third worst in points allowed. They were the second worst pass defense in the entire NFL. And they were bottom 10 in the NFL in turnovers forced. So, in the most literal sense, Tim Marmora is right. Jeff from Mosher City chimes in and says, defense still my biggest question. I still have some Hurts questions. Also, can Saquon Barkley be healthy? He says, here are my 6 losses for the Eagles. So he has the Eagles losing to the Packers on Friday night to open the season. Then he has them losing at Cincinnati, at Dallas, at the Rams, at Baltimore, and home against Pittsburgh. Well, a couple things there, Jeff. I extremely disagree with you on the Pittsburgh one. I think they're winning that game. I think by that point in the year, the Eagles will have an identity, and Pittsburgh, they'll be sputtering. I think Pittsburgh is in a lot of trouble this year because their wide receiver position, they overhauled it, and there's no guarantee they overhauled it enough. They brought in an offensive coordinator who is a run-first, pass-second coordinator on a team that does not have as good of an offensive line as they've had in years past, has questions of who the real lead running back is on that team, and is it Russell Wilson or Justin Fields playing quarterback at that point? The other games I can see. I can see you chalking them up as losses. On the text board, 609-403-0973. Steven chimes in on the text board and says, the Eagles are going to be worse record-wise this year. They won their Super Bowl, but they're not due for another 10 years. Also, the coaching is bad. They got a lot of talent, but it won't work out. I see this team like Tampa Bay Bucks with Brady, except the Eagles have Jalen Hurts and worse coaching. All right, Steven, a couple things. Number one, you're obviously an Eagles hater. Second of all, you didn't follow the instructions for the contest. I gave the instructions multiple times. You didn't follow them. So, Steven's out of the running. Not because of your prediction, but because your perspective is incredibly skewed. You must hate the Eagles. First of all, saying a team is not due for 10 years to win a championship is silly because football is the fastest turnaround sport of all time. We have seen teams go from worst to first every single year in the NFL for the last 30 years. I don't think anyone would have predicted the Eagles were winning in 2017 before they won it that year. I don't think anybody was predicting that, the year the Saints won the Super Bowl, what was that, 15 years ago, that they were going to win it that year. Or the year the Ravens won with Joe Flacco before the year they're going to win it that year. So you already have a flawed philosophy. You said the coaching is bad. So you're saying that Vic Fangio has been coaching in the NFL longer than some people are listening to my voice have been alive? He's a bad coach? Kellen Moore, when he was in Dallas, 3 of his 4 years, had a top 10 in almost every offensive category. And the 1 year he didn't, Dak Prescott was injured. He had John Kitna, right? So you're telling me that Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio are bad coaches. Flawed take. I think that Steven did a bad job there. He did a bad job following assignment. The teacher's got to give you a D, man. That's a D-. It's not a full fail. You put your name on it. It's like when you took the SAT, you got credit for putting your name on the test. That's what Steven just got. Come on, man. You can't say the coaching is bad. It's the worst coaching. I mean, you sound like a tool. Come on, man. No bueno. But y'all can't say I didn't read his text. 609-403-0970. Pat chimes in and says, my biggest concern for the defense, where is the pass rush coming from? What if Bryce Huff isn't as good as we hope? I think we're going to miss Hassan Reddick a lot. That's from Pat. Pat, you're kind of in line with my question. The Huff replacing Hassan Reddick may be the bigger question of all, because if the coordinator is better, which Vic Fangio obviously is, and you invested a ton of resources into the secondary, which the Eagles have, both of those don't matter if the Huff replacing Reddick gamble, we'll call it, doesn't work out. It's a good job there by Pat. Pat, following the instructions of the conversation. James from Atlantic City chimes in at 609-403-0973. James says, do you think the Eagles season would be a failure if they don't have a good season in a playoff run? James, I do think it's a failure. This is an organization that should make the postseason every year. Even when they fell apart last year, they were still in the playoffs. If they don't make a playoff run this year, that means they're not better than last year. They failed to upgrade enough. Everything that we were told was a fugazi. In order for the Eagles to not have a playoff run, that means that Vic Fangio is all talk. Kellen Moore is a mirage. Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman are liars. Lane Johnson is an idiot. Jordan Mailata is an idiot. Chris Long is an idiot. In order for what you just said to happen, James, it would be a massive failure, because that means everyone was either lying to us or everyone is a fool. So it would be a massive failure if they don't make a playoff run. They have to fire Nick Sirianni. They have to borderline blow it all up. David in Violent follows up on his text at 609-403-0973. He says, I got to admit, though, David from Violent says, I do think they will be bad at the start of the year. They will lose to Tampa or New Orleans or one of those teams, and people are going to freak out. I think this team will click as the year progresses and they learn who they are. That's from David in Violent. See, I tend to agree with that. I think that they are going to lose something early in the year, whether it is, it might be the Tampa game because the bye week is right after that. But you're right. At Tampa, at New Orleans, back-to-back weeks, they lost that game with the Jets last year. They shouldn't have lost. And teams lose games like that every year. There's always a game or two in everyone's schedule where they lose it and you're like scratching your head. It's like the meme of the guy scratching his head, wondering what's going on. That's the Eagles. There's a game every year for every NFL team, even playoff teams, where you're looking at them and you're like, how did they lose this game? It kind of reminds me, the Kansas City Chiefs, everyone agrees. Well, I at least hope everyone agrees. Maybe that one texter, Steven, doesn't agree because he seems to hate everybody. But most people with common sense would agree that every year NFL teams have a loss that you're looking around like, how did that even happen? And I remember when the Chiefs last year lost to the Denver Broncos. And I can't remember what week it was, but I remember it was in Denver and they got smashed. And Travis Kelce got so mad that his brother asked him about it. They stormed off their podcast, that episode. And the whole season we were looking at the Chiefs like, look, I get you losing to some of these teams, but how did you lose at Denver in such an embarrassing way? And every year teams lose like that. There's always a game on the schedule that you look around and be like, how the heck did they lose that game? And everyone kind of overreacts to it. And that was Kansas City last year. That loss was completely and utterly embarrassing. But you know what? They bounced back and they had a good year and they won Super Bowl. So it didn't matter. It's a good point there by David and Violent. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Steven Ventnor chimes in and says, I think the Eagles are going to try to get their pass rush up the middle more this year with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. You will see an uptick in sacks from linebackers as well because this defense will be better. I think there'll be a 12-16, maybe 12-5, maybe 11-6. That's from Steven Bentner. So Steve thinks they will be better this year. I think you're right. I think that's interesting. Well, let me ask you guys a question. If Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis have a big year, does that help the linebacker blitz or the edge blitz more? Like if Jalen Carter has a great year and he's creating a lot of pressure up the middle, does that help the edge rushers or the linebacker rush more? Let's squeeze in one more text for the break at 609-403-0973. Shaner in EHT chimes in. He says, the Eagles have cap room. Let's bring Hassan Reddick back. Tim is right. We can't have ended worse than last year. I would love to see some commitment to replacing Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, even though Brandon Graham will have limited snaps this year. He says, I think the Eagles get 11 or 12 wins is my hope, and they win the division. 8 to 10 wins, though, wouldn't surprise me. Shaner EHT. Shaner, I got a lot to unpack there. First of all, I'm not a certified clinical psychologist, but just to evaluate what you're saying, I feel like what you're saying is that you don't think that Jalen Carter has proven yet that he can replace Fletcher Cox, and that wasn't enough of a commitment to draft guys like Carter and Davis. By the way, Vic Fangio loves Milton Williams, but we got to throw that out there as well. So it sounds like Shaner and EHT, you don't think you've seen enough from those guys to say those guys are replacing Fletcher. The Brandon Graham thing is interesting because, like I said, them losing Reddick and replacing him with Huff, we're going to find out a lot about this year. If Nolan Smith has a good year, is that enough to say Nolan Smith can replace Brandon Graham? It's a very interesting take from Shaner and EHT because Shaner's basically saying, I have not seen enough here to say that what I have been given is good enough. All right, more text to get to on the text board. Paul from Rehoboth Beach, your text and more coming up here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
We have the Phillies covered.
Grounds to Turner at short, who throws across his body to Harper at first, and another 1-2-3 inning for Zach Wheeler.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the summer closeout sale going on now at Matt Platt Nissan. New Matt Platt Nissan Rogue S under 30 grand, just $29,999 with zero down and just 2.9% for 60 months. Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. So bring it to Matt Platt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Platt Nissan.
New 2024 Nissan Rogue S, just $29,999 with zero down and 2.9% financing for 60 months. But when they're gone, they're gone. And every new Matt Platt Nissan comes with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing $450 per week? At Matt Platt Nissan, you're virtually approved today. MattPlattNissan.com. Unapproved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattPlattNissan.com for complete details. VIN RC 738396 MSRP 31,115. Offer ends 9/4/24. It's on at Matt Platt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Getting ready for back to school at Macy's is all about fresh starts and new looks, making it one of summer's greatest hits. Save on must-haves like cargos, mini dresses, jeans, and more that'll hold up from the first day of school to the last. Plus, you'll find all the top quality brands you love, like Nike, Jordan, Levi's, and the all-new Epic Threads. Shop Macy's and make the first day back the best one yet. Check out Macy's.com/back to school today.
Joey, let's get some drive-through.
Yeah, bro. Food. I'm going to have to ask you to step out of the car, sir.
Joey, let's get some drive-through, man.
Let's order delivery instead.
If you feel different, you drive different, and driving high is a DUI. If you think no one can tell you're high, think again. Your friends, family, and especially law enforcement can see right through it. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high and get a DUI. Brought to you by NHTSA.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, where one call does it all for leaks, stoppages, and renovations. For 75 years, Jenkins trained technicians have been providing reputable service to local homeowners. Renovating your kitchen or bath? Call Jenkins for new heating and air installations, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing and drain cleaning services, water line or sewer main repairs and replacements. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
What's up? I'm Miles.
Hey, and I'm Jara.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich is how the flavors come together. First, I taste the smoky grilled chicken, then the pepper bacon with that maple bun, added with the sweet heat and the pickles.
I'm really sold on the pickle. It meets you in the middle with the sweetness and the heat.
It's spice-tastic.
Yum-licious.
Flavoristic.
The sandwich of the summer. The Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich.
Order the Maple Pepper Bacon Sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Crispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Join Atlantic County Harley-Davidson on September 14th for a salute to the troops, where they honor our heroes. Celebrate with them as they pay tribute to our active and retired military service members and first responders. Let's show our appreciation for those who serve, keep us safe, and allow us to ride free. Enter for your chance to win a 2024 Road Glide Limited and other amazing prizes. See you at Atlantic County Harley-Davidson September 14th. Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, where heroes ride. Go to acharley.com for details.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
By Clark's Moving and Storage. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. And I hate this lineup. See, it's moments like this where someone like me is reminded why baseball is not my favorite sport. See, stupid stuff like this doesn't happen in football. You don't wake up one day and decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just throw a random group of guys on the field because, yeah. I mean, this is a borderline vomit-worthy lineup. And I'm sorry that Clark's Moving and Storage has to have their name attached to this lineup today. Schwarber with Castellanos behind him in the two-hole. I mean, in what reality should Castellanos ever be batting between Schwarber and Harper? Following Harper is Bohm as usual. Stott is still in the 5 spot, which Rob Thompson's explanation last night just kind of made me roll my eyes because basically Rob Thompson thinks that Bryson Stott has been hitting the ball better even though he's not getting base hits. Behind Stott is Real Muto. Sosa's in the lineup for Trey Turner. No Trey Turner tonight. But Brandon Marsh is in the lineup in left field with Rojas in center. So you can bench Turner, but you don't bench Marsh. To me, you should have benched both Marsh and Turner if that's the reasoning. Because if Turner needs a day off, Marsh definitely needs a day off. And if anybody should be in the 2 spot, it should be Real Muto or Sosa. not Castellanos. This is one of the worst lineups I've ever seen this year. This is why I'm reminded why baseball is so exhausting. There's never a day where a football coach wakes up and says, well, you know, my wide receivers aren't playing well, so I'm going to keep the wide receiver in the lineup who can't catch the ball, but I'm going to put a random wide receiver in there in place of the guy who is catching the ball, who has never played before. Like, it's not a good analogy. But the point is that it's only in baseball that people make these moves, and we are supposed to accept it as they're the professionals, they're the experts. More football talk coming in next. Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast joins us for Football at 4 next on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, Jen, I just stopped in to say hello, and oh my goodness, look how busy it is in here. How do you get all these customers?
Yeah, this month has been a record breaker for us. For a long time, we had decent business coming in from word of mouth, but we weren't growing. Lately, though, a lot of new folks have been finding us online, and that's made all the difference.
That's terrific, man. I wish I could figure out how to do that for my shop, but I have no idea where to start.
Just do what I did. It's not as hard as you think. Go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there are for businesses like yours. If you see that there are a good number of clients searching in our area, you'll also get some suggestions for the best way to get their attention.
Do you think there are a lot of people searching for my business?
There's only one way to find out. Go to mylocalcustomers.com. It's quick, easy, and free.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Getting ready for back to school at Macy's is all about fresh starts and new looks, making it one of summer's greatest hits. Save on must-haves like cargos, mini dresses, jeans, and more that'll hold up from the first day of school to the last. Plus, you'll find all the top quality brands you love, like Nike, Jordan, Levi's, and the all-new Epic Threads. Shop Macy's and make the first day back the best one yet. Check out Macy's.com/back-to-school today.
It only happens once a year. The summer clearance sale at Matt Blatt Kia. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matt Blatt Kia wants to approve you today. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0%. So if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, we want to get you released. Then take $7,500 off MSRP or 0% for 48 months and no payments for 90 days on every clearly marked EV in stock. Plus, with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you can drive with peace of mind.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Nero EV and EV6, $20.83 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. EV6 rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 9/3/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Flounder season is gearing up, and the one stop for everything you need is the bait and tackle shop at Utch's Marina in historic Cape May. Come to Utch's for a huge selection of flounder spinning and conventional rods and combos for the boat or the surf, with top name brands available like Penn, Tsunami, Ocean Max, Shimano, and more. Only at Utch's Marina, your home away from home at the foot of the bridge in Cape May. Check out the half-off sale going on right now. Live bait, frozen bait, rods and reels, lures too. Visit Utch's today. Bait and tackle shop, open daily.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread. and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles,
They've got him! It's a sack!
Sixers,
Oh, baby!
and Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
Just hungry to bring back another Lombardi to Philly. The fans deserve it. Our team deserves it. Culture begs for it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, and search Inside the Birds on YouTube. And it's being brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games inside Ocean Casino and Resort in Atlantic City. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win this football season. For more information, visit oceanac.com. And it's a Wednesday, and that means it's time for Geoff Mosher to join the conversation here on 97.3 ESPN. Geoff, welcome back. How you doing on this Wednesday?
I am great, Josh. And now I think I'm good. As we discussed, I'm going to be headed to the Phillies game. So as I told you, it's somewhat like, is that like getting ready for your own funeral these days? I mean, I'm hoping to have a good time tonight, but I'm not sure whether to be in the camp of just booing every single one of them, or give them that standing ovation, Trey Turner style, and hope that is the remedy for the entire team.
Well, considering how horrible the lineup looks tonight, I think you have a better chance of booing than anything else.
Probably, but you know what? I at least applaud a lineup switch or a change.
So, Geoff, let's talk about something that's not as depressing, which is the Eagles. And before we get into the particulars from the joint practice and then the team preparing for the next preseason game, I want to ask you about the question I asked in the last hour, which is, we have been told multiple places, right? Brandon Graham has talked about it. Lane Johnson has talked about it. You guys talked about it on the Inside the Birds podcast. The Eagles, subconsciously admitted it. The problem last year was the coaching. So if this team had the third worst in the NFL in points allowed per game, and they were second worst in pass defense, and they were bottom 10 in turnovers forced on defense, is it fair to say that Vic Fangio may be the biggest upgrade of the offseason for this team?
I'm a big believer that, in the NFL, coaching is probably more important than, say, baseball or the NBA, right, where talent reigns supreme. Clearly, when you have coaches, you have to call every single play and are probably more involved in player development than a baseball manager or an NBA coach. Then, yeah, I see the addition of Vic Fangio, and not just that, but the fact that most of his position coaches have worked for him before. So you don't have that confusion from last year. You don't have like two different hybrid defenses. You don't have a guy trying to run a template of a Fangio defense. You actually have Vic Fangio and his coaches. I do believe that makes a huge difference. But Josh, at the end of the day, the improvement of the Eagles defense will have to be because of the improvement of the talent in the secondary, more so than the coaching staff. And I say that because as highly regarded as Vic Fangio is, I think if you look at his career as a play caller from Chicago to San Francisco to the Texans to Carolina, all that, he's had as many bottom 10 defenses as top 10 defenses. And I'm not trying to disparage him for that. What I'm just simply saying is when he's had good talent, he's obviously been able to maximize it. But when he's had bad talent, the idea of Vic Fangio just being the guy there didn't matter at that point. So I do think the talent overall, especially in the secondary, is going to have to be the difference for the Eagles this year than last year.
Okay, so if we look at the secondary, so what do we do about a team that drafts a guy in the first round, but then is giving him so many reps at nickel? And Fangio has said nickel and corner are not the same, okay? So if you draft a guy to be a cornerback, but then as a rookie you're putting him at nickel, is that out of necessity, or is Quinyon Mitchell just that talented?
Well, I talked about this with Mike last week. I was sort of trying to get a bigger picture outlook of why this was going on. And I think Vic Fangio confirmed what I had said last week in his press conference. For him right now, it's about fielding the best secondary possible. And Quinyon Mitchell playing nickelback, as long as he's doing it well, which so far he seems to be doing, then enables Vic Fangio to play Isaiah Rodgers outside. And, Rodgers runs a 4.2. He's dynamic. He's athletic. I mean, it certainly comes with a little bit of peril when you're only 5'9" and you're playing outside corner. But the alternative for Vic, and this is all while Cooper DeJean was sidelined, right, Josh, is that he plays Quinyon Mitchell at his natural outside position opposite Slay and then needs to find someone to play nickelback. And it's not going to be Rodgers because he did not play inside nickel in Indianapolis and he hasn't practiced there yet.
Right.
Not going to be Ringo. He's never played there. So then you're going back down the Avonte Maddox / Tyler Hall route, right? And that just, to me, you go back to last year's defense and you were slow, you were not dynamic, you were basic, you just didn't have great athletes. So enabling yourself to play Rodgers on the outside and Quinyon Mitchell on the inside, opposite Slay, gives you more athleticism and more dynamic ability in your starting cornerback group than the alternative. So, but now the question is, once with Cooper DeJean now back, and once he's 2 to 3 to 4 weeks in, maybe he wants to play in this preseason game, coming the third one, not tomorrow's. Once he gets into this thing, once he starts to round into form, if he can effectively play the nickel, will we then see Quinyon Mitchell move to the outside to play where he was originally drafted? Because then you're not losing at anything out of as far as athleticism or dynamite ability, because Cooper DeJean is a dynamic athlete as well.
You mentioned DeJean. I want to ask you about that because there was speculation from the draft that he could be potentially a guy who might have to move to safety in the NFL. But DeJean has said multiple times that he has only gotten work at corner and at nickel. So do you think the fact that he's only gotten work at those two positions is a clear enough sign of what his role would be on this defense?
Tough to say, Josh. Only because nobody would have thought Quinyon Mitchell was going to work at nickel going into camp, and that seemed to be a decision that the coaching staff made again to get the best combination to see if he could handle it. So I don't want to. So I imagine that right now Cooper DeJean is working at the spots that he's played before in college, right? He's played corner. I believe he's played some nickel at Iowa, and so you're not trying to put too much on this plate. So for the spirit of your question, the Eagles are still really thin at safety, right? So let's say by week 3 or week 4, the Eagles really like how Cooper DeJean has progressed and they're ready to play him in a real actual game, regular season game. But let's say that Quinyon Mitchell is doing really well at nickel and Isaiah Rodgers is playing at a high level at outside. Do they then start to experiment with Cooper DeJean at safety because that would again give them the best combination that they can get to put out there in the secondary? Maybe. So I don't want to slam the door on that because obviously Cooper DeJean came out of the draft and some teams looked at him and thought, hey, he probably might be a better safety or a nickel than, say, an outside corner nickel. So I don't want what we're seeing now is, I think, what is best for the team, and what we're seeing 4 or 5 weeks from now might be different.
Talking with Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, at Geoff P. Mosher over on the Twitter X platform. Here on Football at 4, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. The reason I'm asking some of these questions, Geoff, is because, Avonte Maddox.
Because it's August?
Well, aside from that.
Just kidding. Good.
No, it's because of Avonte Maddox, because he had been the presumptuous nickel guy for years now, right? And he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But now in training camp this year, Fangio is giving him more and more work at safety in these practices, and which is opening the door for guys like Mitchell to get more reps at the nickel. So does it make sense to you for the Eagles to enter the year with Avonte Maddox at safety instead of nickel?
I don't know. And I say that not to be elusive with the question or evade it, but Andrew DeCecco will be on the podcast, the Inside the Birds podcast, with me tomorrow. We've already recorded it. And he had some interesting observations about Avonte Maddox, specifically the level of play that he thinks Avante's playing at right now in any position. And, without making it a total tease, he's just concerned. And there's been a lot of injuries, as you mentioned, right? There's been a lot of now there's position switching. He's a little bit older. Remember, this guy only signed a 1-year deal. He went out there. He didn't really find a whole lot. So I'm not exactly sure that we definitely pencil Avonte Maddox in on the team. I mean, I get that they're thin at safety, but now that Cooper DeJean's back, if the team wants to count him as a future potential safety or an interior type defender that you have alongside C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And remember, Sidney Brown's going to come back, I'm sure, pretty soon, right? And then you've got Reed Blankenship. Like, I can't say for sure, Josh, that Avonte Maddox is definitely making the team to be able to say that he fits better at one position or the other, because, we've seen people's expiration dates come, and his might have reached here if things don't change a little bit for him in camp.
Speaking of guys in their roles, let's talk about the ILBs, the inside linebackers. At the very start of training camp, we were seeing a lot of Devin White, Zach Bond as the primary tandem. Now, as the weeks have gone on, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is getting more work. Nakobe Dean is getting more work. Geoff, you mentioned on Monday on Football at 4 that you wouldn't be surprised if, by halfway through the end of the year, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is one of the main guys at the inside linebacker. I mean, are we trending in a way that the Eagles are almost like, letting the guys, prove their own worth, it seems like, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to keep Jeremiah Trotter Jr. off the field if he's playing this well. But this is where we all have to stop and say, remember that this is training camp, and what you see in training camp doesn't always translate immediately. Sometimes it doesn't translate at all to regular season games. So it appears that you've got Devin White, Nakobe Dean, and Zach Bond still sort of duking it out here to be your top two linebackers in your nickel. Now, that doesn't mean Trotter won't carve out some kind of role, certainly special teams, but even on defense, you can go situational. You can have different kind of packages for different down and distances that you might feel more comfortable with Trotter in. But the big question, Josh, is really, and I think, yesterday's practice in Foxborough may have started to supply a little bit of an answer to that, because yesterday's practice, Nakobe Dean ran with Devin White first team, at least more than he had normally. It had been White and Bond. You heard Vic Fangio say, hey, Bond did all right in the preseason game, but he's out of place a few times. So I'm wondering if the first major move at this position, and it's a move that Adam and I have kind of forecasted, we thought this might eventually happen, although it hasn't happened yet, really. We got to see more what goes on, is Nakobe Dean getting back to being a starting inside linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the Kobe Dean is that, he was a guy that came with so much promise coming out of college, Geoff. And, we had a listener make this comment a little bit earlier. They asked about, could we be seeing what the future is going to look like for Philadelphia? Because you drafted all these guys from Georgia, Dean, Smith, Davis, Carter, Ringo. At some point, Geoff, some of these guys got to show up and start doing something to pay off all this investment.
It's no doubt about it. Huge year for all three of them. Well, I wouldn't say huge year for Jalen Carter. I think he's of the three, the less under the microscope. Obviously, he has to do better than last year as the year goes on. But, I mean, you saw his level of play when he played well, and it was pretty darn impressive. Jordan Davis is the guy that's got to prove that he can play at a really high level from top to bottom all year long, and then eventually maybe even, become a little bit of a pocket pusher. And then, of course, Nakobe staying healthy and taking over a starting role, being more than just a special teamer. Yeah, absolutely critical for that. And then I guess to your point, it's a little bit of a referendum on, we'll call it the process, the Georgia process, like the Sixers process, right?
Right.
Like just getting all the Georgia guys, Ringo is part of that too. Was that the correct narrative at the end of the day, that if you just draft guys from this national championship defense, you're naturally going to, automatically be a much better defense yourself?
Well, that was always the question with Alabama. People wanted people to draft people from Alabama for years because they were winning championships, and it's Nick Saban. So it's kind of the same deal with this. It's like, well, if you draft all these guys, then what happens is the question. Speaking of the joint practice, Geoff, what do you say to the people? And I've seen these comments the last 24 hours. Well, it's the Patriots. You're not playing the Patriots in the regular season. Like, what do you say to the people who are looking at the joint practice and poo-pooing it?
Well, I don't know why you poo-poo any joint practice, because it's always good to see a different offense and a different defense. I mean, it's just practice. So, I mean, like there's really nothing to poo-poo about it. But at the same time, nothing to really, I suppose when you're playing the Patriots, you're just sort of talent deficient in a lot of the areas. There's also nothing to go gaga about because a guy catches a touchdown or a guy gets a sack, a quote unquote sack, two-handed touch sack. But, at the end of the day, you're just trying to get better by facing a different team, a different scheme, different personnel than the people you see every single day. I think that matters for a guy like Zach Baun, who, you're looking to see if he understands the intricacies of playing inside linebacker. Well, it's a little bit easier for Zach to do that when every single day he's facing the same offense, Eagles offense, and he kind of understands certain tendencies there. Now, if you throw, just like the preseason game in Baltimore, now you throw a different team out there who may draw the red circle around him and try to confuse him with certain formations or things that they do. Does that work?
Call more for Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, and at Geoff P. Mosher on the Twitter X platform. Geoff, I want to flip it to the offense. I want to ask you a version of the question I asked Adam yesterday, because, we were talking yesterday about, the importance of the number 2 tight end, the number 3 wide receiver. We know Howie Roseman is famous or infamous, depending on who you ask, for making moves before the season and even in season to make additions to this team. If Howie's going to make that move, Geoff, is it more likely to be the number 3 wide receiver or the number 2 tight end?
Probably. Oh, I would say the number 3 wide, no doubt. Only because, I know Grant Calcaterra is out with a shoulder issue right now, and maybe if that's worse than we think, and he's going to be out a really long time, then maybe he might feel like he has to make a move. But he still has CJ Uzomah, and CJ Uzomah is a veteran. He may not have a lot left in the tank, but he can still block, and that's really a key role for their wide tight end, their number 2 tight end that Jack Stoll was able to do the last few years, block and catch a little. So they can kind of get away with Uzomah and then maybe a Alberto or a EJ Jenkins. But, the number 3, it's hard to hide your number 3 wide receiver when you're an 11 personnel based offense. So if they're not loving what they're seeing, and even if they are loving what they're seeing, but skeptical that a guy like Britton Covey or a guy like Johnny Wilson can really hold up as in that spot, then I would see them making a move there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to decipher it because first of all, you mentioned Calcaterra's got a shoulder. Calcaterra always has something, Geoff. The guy is constantly getting injured. And Adam brought up yesterday about how CJ Uzama has been pretty disappointing at times in this training camp and these practices. And I'm sorry, but I'm not getting excited about EJ Jenkins or Alberto at all. And I mean, listen, I understand that Kellen Moore has a history of doing very well with tight ends, but I mean, I gotta be honest, Geoff. No Eagle fan is gonna be like, let me tell you who we're looking forward to seeing catch touchdowns. EJ Jenkins this year. You know what I mean? So like, and Dallas Goedert himself has been injured over the years. So that's why I'm wondering in an offense with Kellen Moore, where his tight ends average 8 touchdowns, almost 8 touchdowns per year. It's like 7.78 is the actual average. But when they average almost 8 touchdowns per year, but under Sirianni and Steichen, they average 4 touchdowns per year. We know that Kellen Moore is going to use these guys. And I'm just trying to decipher as I look at this team and how not the initial 53-man looks, but how the final 53-man looks, how much of an investment Howie might have to make in improving the tight end before the season.
Yeah, and it wouldn't shock me if, listen, especially around veteran cut down, you find a veteran tight end out there who's got a little I mean, they have it already in Uzama, but if they wanted to have just another one to have on the practice squad, that's fine. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about a starting position versus backup position, right, I view the slot receiver as a starting position because the Eagles are going to be in 11 personnel, 3 wide, 1 tight end, almost 65, 70% of the time, if they can, that's what they want to be. And all they would need in that regard, in that scenario, is a healthy Dallas Goedert. And you're not necessarily worried about the number 2 tight end. But if Johnny Wilson or Britton Covey is your guy that you're asking to play 65 to 70% of the snaps of the game as a number 3 receiver, you're probably thinking to yourself, I'm not 100% sold on that. You know, you're talking about a rookie and a punt returner.
Which leads me right into the number 3 receiver question. You know, Britton Covey looked pretty good in that preseason game, but I don't think anyone is going to pretend like Britton Covey is the next coming of like Wes Welker or anything.
Right.
So Paris Campbell finally not injured anymore. So assuming he's in the mix, although he's been injured about a gazillion times himself, assuming he's in the mix, if the Eagles start the season with Paris Campbell as the number 3 wide receiver and Britton Covey as the 4, is that good enough?
Well, yes and no, right? Is it good enough? If Paris Campbell is healthy and stays healthy and can give you some slot reps, which he's done before. I mean, he's not a slot receiver, honestly, but he did play it a couple of years ago with Indianapolis when they had really no choice. And he caught the most passes of his career. Now, he also had the lowest yards per catch of his career. But if at least he's a veteran guy who understands route trees, knows how to get open. So if he starts the season as your number 3 receiver and can play the slot, move out. See, he's important because he can move. He can play outside as long as he's healthy. If you get an injury to, say, A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. But let's say Paris Campbell just doesn't make it through camp and is not healthy. Then you're in trouble because neither Covey or Johnny Wilson, not only are they not most likely not equipped to be full-time slot receivers, not really equipped to be full-time outside wide receivers either. And if you had to miss Devontae Smith for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or A.J. Brown for 2 or 3 weeks, you'd be in a whole lot of trouble there.
Geoff, before I let you go, tomorrow night, Eagles preseason game number 2. What is the player or the position you are going to be watching the closest?
Oh, the offensive and defensive lines, Josh. I'm fascinated. I don't know if everybody else is. I don't know how much you've talked about it or Mike talked about it. I'm just so fascinated with Jeff Stoutland's affinity for Brett Toth, that now Brett Toth is the backup center. And, I guess if Cam Jurgens is out, then it's Brett Toth, not Matt Hennessy,
Right.
And yet they drafted a center in Dylan McMahon too. So usually you keep your draft pick. So if you're keeping Jurgens, Toth, and McMahon, right, doesn't seem to be a whole lot of room for Matt Hennessy, unless you want to call him a guard. But if you're starting Mekhi Becton, right, then you're keeping Tyler Steen, and you've got this Darian Kennard who played every single snap. I've never seen this before in a preseason game. Guy played every single snap at right tackle. Thought he did all right. Came out well against the Ravens. So you got him, you got Fred Johnson, and, guys who I thought had a good shot to make the team because they played a little bit in this league, or they, Hennessy being a guy who came over from Atlanta, Temple kid. Now all of a sudden you're thinking, where does he fit? Where's Matt Sharping, who started playoff games, I believe, for the Bengals? Where's he fit? Where does Nick Gates fit? I mean, this guy has played center and guard in the NFL for a few years and played at a high enough level that the Commanders gave him a fairly decent contract a year or two ago. He's just been hurt. So I'm just looking at this whole offensive line, trying to figure it all out. I forgot to mention Trevor Keegan. He's another left guard. He's only played left guard. So I just where's Matt Hennessy showing up here? And then on the defensive line, we know about the starting 3 interior defensive linemen. Moro Ojomo looks like he's the number 4. Marlon Tuipulotu has played well as a 5, but really not too many veterans. No veterans there in the backup ranks. You got Thomas Booker trying to duke it out with, I guess, Gabe Hall for that last spot there in the interior defensive line. So I want to see how well those guys do.
He's Geoff Mosher at Geoff B. Mosher on Twitter X platform. Inside the Birds podcast. Like, subscribe, download wherever you get your podcasts. Also subscribe to the Inside the Birds YouTube channel. And don't forget about the Inside the Birds Patreon, where you get all the exclusive content from Geoff Mosher, Adam Kaplan, and Andrew DeCecco. And Geoff joined us here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Geoff, appreciate the time, and good luck with the Phillies game tonight.
Thank you for wishing me luck. We will need it. Take care, Josh.
Geoff Mosher joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Football at 4 is being brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games inside Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. This football season, you want to go to the Gallery, you want to go to Ocean, you want to go for the win, because the Gallery is the best place to watch football this season. For more information, visit oceanac.com. And gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Coming up next, Nick Earnshaw is back for another edition of Nick's Nuggets. What will Nick Earnshaw be grinding his gears about today? Find out next here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And it just keeps getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The seafood extraordinary, the value tremendous, the sunsets on the house. It's Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant. Dine indoors or on the deck overlooking the bay. The Phillies are always on at Yuri's. Watch the game and enjoy daily food and drink specials, including all-you-can-eat crab backed by popular demand. Yuri's is perfect for families with a kids menu and arcade. Next door to Yuri's is the Boathouse Restaurant. 2 great ways to experience the Jersey Shore's best waterfront dining. Yuri's and the Boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Are you getting hit hard by low trade offers?
Ouch! That was a blindside!
That's a personal foul. Don't get blindsided by low trade offers. Bring any trade to Matt Platt Kia. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. Select from hundreds of new and certified Kias.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Matt Platt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can easily find coverage options that fit your budget. If only it was that easy to name your baby.
How about Jaden?
Nope.
Okay. Michael?
Went to middle school with a glue-eating Michael.
Sebastian?
Dated one in college.
How about Damien?
Vampire name.
All right. Greg?
Not feeling it.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Jeffrey?
Oh, love that one.
Wait, really?
No.
Find coverage options that fit your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The Phillies continue to struggle. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Phillies lost their first game of the homestand last night, 5-0 to the Miami Marlins, and continue to struggle. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, does Rob Thompson have to dramatically shake up the lineup tonight? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. I think he does. Something needs to change. And even if it's temporarily, they change the lineup for a couple games here and there and then maybe go back to what they normally would want to do and have the lineup be, that is okay. It's okay to change things up every once in a while, especially if you're in a losing drought. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Go for the endless ocean views. Go for the nonstop entertainment. Go for the lucky whirls and the late night twirls. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our next storm system holds off until the weekend. That means we get to enjoy 2 more splendid summer days before rain returns to the forecast. Mainly clear and comfortable tonight, low of 65. Tomorrow, partly sunny and seasonably warm, high of 86. 87 on Friday, turning mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms at night. Pockets of rain and thunderstorms this weekend with breaks of dry weather in between. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Summers in New Jersey were made to wow you. From sun and wows to fun and wows, chillin' wows to thrillin' wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey, it's one summer wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic. Come with me. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. While I'm live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios, Nick Earnshaw joins us live virtually here for Nick's Nuggets here on 97.3 ESPN. Nick, welcome back in. I know you have a very busy 36 hours. You got a concert tonight. You got orientation tomorrow at the community college. So I appreciate you still fitting in Nick's Nuggets among all the chaos.
No, I have to fit it in no matter what, Josh. I mean, Nick's Nugget's a big part of my day. It's locked into the day, all right? It's built into the schedule.
I'm just acknowledging my appreciation for you being here. That's all.
Of course. Well, I'm happy to be here. Always enjoy doing Nick's Nuggets, but I'm a little upset. Not going to lie. I'm a little upset. I mean, we watched that Phillies game last night. I was blowing up your phone about 18 times, sending you a bunch of memes about the Phillies last night. I actually created my own. I posted it out. The one that I sent you with the clown faces and the Bryce, I created that myself. So I thought I did a pretty good job. You can go check that out at Earnshaw Radio on X.
That was a good one. You did good with that.
Yeah, that shows you how much time I really do have and how much time I am working, Josh. I mean, I'm creating memes over here.
And that sometimes is a personal problem.
So, yeah, it's bad, man. We got to start with nugget number one. The Phillies are an abomination right now. They can't do anything right, it seems like. I asked the question today during the update, should the Phillies change up the lineup? And they did. And Rob Thompson went out there. He changed the lineup up. He shook things up a little bit. And they had to. They had to at this point. When you're not in a spot where you're experiencing success like they've had in the beginning of the season, now they just really haven't. You're going to have to shake things up sometimes just to create a spark. And the Phillies did that today, changing up the lineup. Trey Turner basically getting benched. He's getting the day off tonight. Edmundo Sosa going to be playing shortstop for the Phillies. Castellanos, Josh, is batting second. I like the move of just switching things up just because nothing seems to be working right now. You have Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Bohm, Stott, Realmuto, Sosa, Marsh, and Rojas. I like taking Turner out of the lineup. Maybe you give one of the other guys a day off too. Harper here and there. Stott. I wouldn't mind that either, but it's a good start to shake things up. Move Castellanos, who's giving you actually really good at bats lately, to this 2-hole tonight. I think it was a good job by Thompson to try and give this team a spark.
So I aggressively disagree with this.
Why? Why, Josh?
See, this lineup change was like, we're making changes for the sake of making changes. For example, if you're going to bench Trey Turner for a game, then why is Brandon Marsh in a lineup? Like, if you're going to bench Turner, you have to bench Marsh. Marsh is batting, was it 080 in the last 8 games?
Who are you going to put out there? Weston Wilson? What are you going to put Weston Wilson in the left field?
At least he's hit a home run recently.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, that's my first problem. Like, I felt like they were just like, they were playing roulette. It was like, all right, let's throw the dice and see who we're going to bench today. Oh, you got the black, so you're going to be on the bench. The lineup feels so random of who they benched, who they didn't. Second of all, I hate Castellanos in the 2-hole and keeping Stott 5. I don't care that Rob Thompson last night said Stott's having good at bats. Stott's not hitting. Put Castellanos, leave him at 5. Bohm needs a legitimate guy behind him. If what you said about Castellanos, if you believe that, Nick Earnshaw, he needs to be behind Bohm more so than at the 2-hole.
Okay, I understand. That's a great point. But Castellanos is giving you great at bats, and you can't go lefty, then righty. You can't do that.
I'm not saying put Stott in the 2-hole. I don't want Stott behind.
Who would you put in the 2-hole then? If you're benching Turner for a game, who you put in the 2-hole?
Sosa.
No, I'm not putting Sosa in the 2-hole.
Why not?
No, put Castellanos. He's giving you great at bats.
Nah.
Just shake it up a little bit. This isn't a permanent thing, Josh. This is like a 1-2 game type of thing. I'm all cool for it. If you need to get a victory tonight, you've been sitting at 69 wins for a while now. You're almost at 70. You're falling back in the best record standings. Like, I just change it up. Give your team a spark. Like, if Schwarber could get on base, Castellanos giving you good at bat, drive him in to start a game. I'm all for that.
Here's my lineup I would have done tonight. I would have gone Schwarber, Sosa, Harper, Bohm, Castellanos. Then I would have gone Stott, Realmuto, take Marsh out of the lineup, put Weston Wilson in, leave Rojas in center. Which, by the way, how ridiculous was it last night? Rojas was on one of the only 5 hits last night, and he gets subbed out for a batter.
Yeah,
like, that was ridiculous. It's like, not Marsh, not the guy who went over. No, poor Rojas. He gets no respect around here. He's one of only 5 hits last night. And like, yeah, we're going to pull you out of the lineup. Like, what?
I believe he has a higher batting average than both Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott. On the year.
I'll pull it up, but I think you might be right.
On the year, I think at this point in the season, with how things have gone, I think Rojas is ahead of them now in batting average, which is crazy to think about. Because, I mean, Rojas got sent down to AAA this year. And people have complained about his bat and his approach at the plate, but he's actually been better than Stott and Marsh.
So Rojas is batting .239 on the year.
Okay.
Marsh is batting .235.
Yep.
Stott is batting .232.
Yep. So he's got
100% correct. He has a higher batting average, but yet he was the one who got benched last night.
You're welcome.
You're Rojas, you got to be feeling some sort of way, don't you?
You're welcome for that nugget, by the way. I mean, it's a nugget by me there.
That might be the nugget of the day.
So, yeah, I mean, last night, 1 through 5, I think was a combined 1 for 19. So they weren't doing anything. That's why you're adding Casty to the top of the lineup, because your top 5 hitters were combined 1 for 19 last night. Nobody's hitting. And I'm not going to put all the blame on Taijuan Walker. I thought he was fine last night.
He was fine.
He was fine. He's a 5th starter who eats innings. You don't have to worry about it. He was okay. The offense didn't score a run.
Offense did nothing.
So I can't sit here and say, yeah, let's keep the lineup the same, and we'll just put Mundo into. No, put Castellanos up there. If Castellanos is going to be one of your guys to get a base hit to start off a game, I'm all for it. Schwarber's been one of your most consistent guys. Have Castellanos behind him. Just create a spark in the beginning of the game, top of the lineup. I'm all for that. This is not something I would say go forward with and like go into September and October to have Castellanos bat in second. That's not what I'm saying. I think for tonight and the circumstances, having Cassie bat 2 is all good. I'm not opposed to it at all, because they need a spark. They needed to make just a change and do something.
All right, what's your second nugget for us?
All right, it's nugget number 2. We're gonna switch gears.
Really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just ask you? Can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah.
So I said last hour, and I got some criticism for this. I said this is the reason why baseball is not my favorite sport, because baseball makes the most random lineup changes. Like, football doesn't do that. Like, nobody wakes up on a football Sunday and is like, well, A.J. Brown hasn't been catching the ball, so we're just going to bench him. You know what I mean? Like, in hockey, like, you might move a guy, like, to the third line from the first line, but, like, you never put in, like, some random guy on the first line just to see what happens. Like, in basketball, you never be like, you know what? Joel Embiid, he needs a different guy playing next to him, a power forward. So we're going to bring up a guy from the Blue Coats who has like never played an NBA game and put him in the lineup. Like, it's only in baseball where it's like, hey, here's a random lineup, and it makes you want to vomit. Like, you never do that in other sports.
See, I am with the criticism that you have taken today. I totally love the randomness of baseball. That's what makes baseball so great. You need Mr. Consistency over there and have the same lineup every single night. All right, Josh,
It's
give me
not
a
about
break.
it's not the same. It's about the randomness.
Yes, that's what makes baseball amazing. That's why it's the best sport. That is why it's the number 1 sport, Josh.
That's why it's not my favorite. I can't stand. There's no reason why Marsh should be in the lineup and Trey Turner should be out of the lineup.
Well,
you're taking one out, you take them both out of the lineup.
Yeah, I'm with you. They just have no depth in the outfield. That's the problem there.
Not my problem.
Austin Hayes is hurt. I mean, they have
Weston
to kind of play
Wilson's
more.
hanging out. He's combing his beard, man.
I understand Weston Wilson's there, but I mean, it's not a great option either compared to Brandon Marsh.
Well, it's not like, well, according to you, Austin Hayes isn't a great option either.
Well, that's a whole different conversation. I mean, we want to go back to the deadline conversation. That's a totally different stratosphere when we're talking about the lineup. But you don't have Austin Hayes. You're going to start Austin Hayes no matter what. You traded for him. He's going to play left field, and you're going to platoon Marsh and Rojas in center. So, I mean, you're kind of stuck at this point. You're back to where you were before the trade.
By the way, Chris from Millville chimes in on the text board. He says, I love Knicks Nuggets every day, but if Castellanos has to be the Phillies savior, you are in the deep, if you know what I mean.
It's not. Listen, I appreciate the kind comments about Knicks Nuggets, but it's not like it's a permanent thing, okay? It's just something to get them a victory. Just spark something on the offensive side of things, because nothing is happening. They can't do anything at the dish. The approach has been terrible. The at-bats have been terrible. They can't score runs. Runners in scoring position. I mean, you just have to do something. This is not a permanent thing. It's a one-game type of deal to just try and give this team a spark somewhere, because Turner has been one of the worst players in baseball at the plate since the All-Star break. So you have to do something. I'm okay with Castellanos hitting in the 2-hole for one game against the Marlins in August. It's fine. Don't freak out. I mean, I'm kind of freaking out overall, but for one game, just try and build something and get you going, you have to have Casty in the 2-hole, Josh, not Edmundo Sosa.
All right, so what's nugget number 2?
All right, we'll move on to nugget number 2. We'll switch gears to the Birds. I don't know if you saw this report. NBC Sports DC content creator JP Finley apparently was talking to Derek Gunn about the Eagles, and I found this absolutely fascinating, Josh. So apparently, I mean, we've all heard of Big Dom, okay? Big Dom, the security guard, got suspended last year for, I guess it was during the San Francisco game. And now apparently he's basically running the show. The tweet was talking with @RealDGun about the Eagles' vibes right now. Big Dom basically runs the show. Big Dom has them all on the same page right now. I'm not joking. So is Big Dom the head coach, or is Nick Sirianni the head coach right now, Josh? I mean, we've heard how important Big Dom is to this team, which is, it's great, but like, what the heck does that mean? Like, is Big Dom coaching everybody? And we've heard glowing reviews from Jason Kelsey, past players, Bo Allen, who's been on 97.3 ESPN before. All of these guys, he's got the vibes rolling. Like, what is that?
All right, so a couple of things I want to address here. Number one, I think this report it's mischaracterizing Derek Gunn, because I can't see. I mean, I've gotten to know Derek Gunn a little bit over the years. Derek Gunn is not the kind of guy to put out information that's salacious or that's hot takey or that's going to be, like Derek Gunn was literally criticized by people because he would like downplay reports that were like sensationalized. So I got the feeling that this report of what Gunn said might be mischaracterizing what he's saying a little bit, just knowing who Derek Gunn is. When he says that Big Dom is running the show, I don't think he's running the show in terms of like he's running the coaching staff or he's like running the organization or he's running practices. Or I think what they mean is, because Big Dom's position now is basically he's the assistant to the general manager, basically. So, like, I think Big Dom is basically taking, like, an overseer of, like, things role. I don't think he's walking into Sirianni's office and telling him, here's your hype speech for the day. Like, I don't think he's the guy walking into the team meeting saying, if CJ Gardner-Johnson makes his basketball shot, there's no team meeting today. Like, I don't think Big Dom is doing any of that. I think that what they really mean is that Big Dom's role right now is basically he's keeping things keep moving. Like, he's keeping everybody moving forward. Like, I think he's the guy who might walk into a meeting every once in a while and just put his hand up and be like, look, guys, we're trying to move forward with this organization. Let's not focus too much on the past. Let's not think about yesteryear. Jalen, if you get a question about last year, keep it moving forward. Like, I think that's more of what his role is. I don't think he's literally like, at practice, with a headset on telling Sirianni what to do.
No. He's not an X's and O's guy. He's a vibes guy. He's a glue guy. He's a Mr. Everything like you, Josh. He does it all. He's Mr. Do It All.
A horrible pizza taste, but
yeah, no, you've talked about that before. But like, I mean, he was a mystery guy kind of before. Now, I mean, since he got suspended, he was thrusted in the national
he's a
spotlight.
celebrity at this point.
Yeah, but apparently, he does background checks. He's got connections around wherever. He's Mr. Everything. He's like Josh Hennig in a sense.
He's important, but like, for example, Josh Hennig is not the brand manager. He's not the station manager of 97.3 ESPN. That's Mike Gill. Mike Gill is my boss. There's never a point in time where anyone is going to act like that I'm telling Mike Gill what to do. And I think that is the insinuation of this report, that Big Dom is telling Nick Sirianni what to do.
I guess I guess you saw it that way. I just kind of see it as like he's connecting with these players on a different level not in an X and O's way,
But see,
but like in the locker
you're
room.
saying that, Nick Earnshaw, because you're not an idiot, okay? There are people who will read this report and take it not the way you and I are taking it. And that's the gripe I have with this JP, whatever the heck his name is.
JP Finley, NBC
whatever.
Sports Philly or NBC Sports DC.
Well, he's obviously trying to be salacious because Derek Gunn he would not verbalize it the way JP is creating it.
Right. No, well, by the way, that might have been the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Josh. I really appreciate it, man.
Which part?
the part I'm not an idiot. I really appreciate that. I genuinely appreciate that for sure. But no, I thought it was fascinating because then I'm seeing stories and it was generating a big discussion on the Twitter X platform too. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. How big a role Big Dom does have with the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, final nugget of the day. Obviously you mentioned at the top of Nuggets that I'm going to a concert tonight. I will be in the vicinity of Citizens Bank Park, but I'll be across the street. I'll be enjoying Future and Metro Boomin. Okay, Josh. They were the ones who kind of sparked the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. So I'm excited to go to that concert. I'm going to see that song live.
You know why? The only reason why I know who that is because of the Spider-Verse movies.
Yes.
They're on the soundtrack of both the Spider-Verse movies.
Yes, they
That's
are.
the only reason why I know who that is.
I will be enjoying myself and not be across the street watching the Phillies and watching that painful game of baseball that you so happen to disagree with all the lineups and, they've been going down. Essentially, the new album is called We Don't Trust You. I'm not trusting the Phillies right now, Josh. That's for sure.
No, I think you made a good decision because now the Phillies have a chance to win the game too.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there. Like I said,
Exactly.
I'm not in the nosebleeds. I'm not at a sporting
You're not even
event.
in the city. You're not even
Nope.
in the city. You're in Camden.
No, it's at the Wells Fargo Center.
Now we might be in trouble. There might be a residual.
No. The distinction was I'm not attending any Philly sports events in the nosebleeds in the month of August. Not in the concerts were not off the table.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to keep up here, man.
You got to keep up, Josh. Keep it up. All right. That's my final nugget of the day, Josh.
Before I let you go, really
Go
quick.
ahead.
So after this concert tonight, is there another concert that you're trying to get to this year? Like, is Nick Earnshaw eyeing up another concert before the end of the year?
I have not eyed up any other concert this year yet. I might have to do a deep dive and see who's coming around. I missed the Green Day concert, a little bummed about that.
Right.
But other than that, no, I got nothing on my plate as of now.
Okay. I'm just curious. I mean, it's always interesting because Gill is like, he's Generation X. I'm millennials. You're Gen Z. So
I'm a
it's like,
Zoomer.
we all have like different like interests music wise that we lean into.
We do.
So, like I would never like, there's never a day where like someone would have been like, Josh, go buy the tickets for the concert you're going to tonight. I mean, like I would, but that's me. So, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's on the Nick Earnshaw itinerary when it comes to the concert next on the lineup.
I got nothing. I haven't even looked. This is the last one I kind of looked at for the summer, and I'm going to attend it. Maybe there'll be another one that comes up soon that I'll attend. Who knows?
All right, I was curious. Well, it's you could add it to the list of things we could talk about on Friday when you sit in with me on a happy hour Friday here on the Sports Bash. He's Nick Earnshaw. He'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Nick's Nuggets.
All right, Josh. I'll talk to you, man. Have a good one.
Nick Earnshaw here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. And, of course, this hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. This football season, the Gallery at Ocean Casino Resort is where you want to be. For more information, go to oceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, coming up next, Matt Gelb from The Athletic. He will join us here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. We'll talk more about the Phillies. By the way, great poll by the texter. Chris in Millville says, Lou Gehrig was a random replacement player, and look what happened. He's right. What if Weston Wilson is the next Lou Gehrig and we just kept him on the bench? Obviously, I kid. More Sports Bash next on 97.3 ESPN.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2024 preseason tomorrow night in New England against the Patriots.
They've got him! It's a sack! It's Brandon's Ram!
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. and kickoff at 7. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
It's universal.
Can I get a root canal instead?
People strongly dislike the process of moving.
Please, anything but moving.
Because let's face it, it's hard. But if you've got to do it, make it as painless as possible.
Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. Use Clark's Moving and Storage for your next local or long-distance move. Visit Clark's Moving and Storage online at clarksmoving.net.
This year, Dell Technologies' Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
DQ presents... Picture this. Picture the DQ $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Not just a cheeseburger, a bacon cheeseburger, plus fries, drink, and a sundae, all full-sized, all for $7. Because everything's better with bacon. Everything's also better with a side of fries, a refreshing drink, and a sundae to finish. Yum. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. DQ. Happy tastes good.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can easily find coverage options that fit your budget. If only it was that easy to name your baby.
How about Jaden?
Nope.
Okay. Michael?
Went to middle school with a glue-eating Michael.
Sebastian?
Dated one in college.
How about Damien?
Vampire name.
All right. Greg?
Not feeling it.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Jeffrey?
Oh, love that one.
Wait, really?
No.
Find coverage options that fit your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Bennett Chevy's end of summer blowout. Hurry in now for deals you can't find anywhere else. Our best deals of the year. Like $500 below GM supplier employee prices on new Chevys. Yes, you pay $500 less than our employees pay. Plus, Bennett gives you all the rebates. That could save you up to 10% on your new Chevy. Save even more with available 0.9% financing. And Bennett Chevy is South Jersey's EV headquarters with a great selection of EVs, hybrids, SUVs, and Chevy trucks. And right now, we're paying a whopping $10,000 minimum for any old trade. We don't care if it runs, just get it here. That's at least $10,000 for total junk towards any pre-owned in stock. Imagine how much we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So you'll love your no-hassle, no-haggle experience. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
800-908-3084. That's 800-908-3084.
3084.
Jake from State Farm. I'm winning. I finally cleaned my house, so I'm breaking out my new tropical room spray.
Keep winning and create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It's like your own personal paradise.
Ooh, hey, grab me a coconut water.
Bundling, just another way to save with a personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Any trade, any trade, any trade. Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Nissan. And AJ the Trade Man will give you more for your trade so you can drive away with peace of mind with Matt Blatt Nissan's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
So cash in your vehicle now before it's too late and drive home in a new Nissan today. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
To get people excited about Boost Mobile's new nationwide 5G network, we're offering unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month.
Forever.
Even if you have a baby.
Even if your baby has a baby.
Even if you grow old and wrinkly and you start repeating yourself.
Even if you start repeating yourself.
Even if you're on your deathbed and you need to make one last call.
Or text.
Right, or text. The long-lost son you abandoned at birth.
You'll still get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile. Forever.
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Forever.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Sassy Cafe and Suites in Mullica Township for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com. Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike.
Josh Hennig filling from Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the 5 o'clock hour, being brought to you by Key Acura of Atlantic City. Go see Rocco and the team at Key Acura of Atlantic City on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township. Your small but friendly dealer. Check out their full inventory now at Key Acura of Atlantic City.com. You know, I purposely picked Green Day's Boulevard of Broken Dreams because if you ask Philly fans right now, they're acting like the Philly season will already be over, and it's August 14th. And yeah, I remind people as we bring on Matt Gelb from The Athletic, who covers the Phillies had 3 5-game losing streaks in 2022, and they went to the World Series. Not that that's an excuse, but maybe a little context. Matt, welcome in to the show. How you doing today?
Hey, good weather, be a big crowd. Maybe they'll win, maybe they won't. I don't know.
Well, it's Italian Heritage Night, so it'll be a good crowd, right?
They get a good crowd no matter what night it is right now. I mean, it really is crazy.
Let's get on that for a sec, because you mentioned about how no matter what, they're getting the good crowds. Like we talked about a couple of years ago here that, you know, it felt like the Philly fan had to be, you know, convinced to come back to the ballpark, right? Now they got some of the best attendance in baseball. So it seems like people are again, they're coming to the ballpark, but is it maybe less to do with the team on the field and more about being in the ballpark again?
I mean, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, I know they haven't played well of late, but this is a team that still has a lot of star players that, you know, when they're right, they play an exciting brand of baseball. And I think that is attractive to people. And, you know, you mentioned the 5-game losing streaks. I mean, I would take it even a step further. And I think, you know, going into the season, what was all the talk about? It was about getting off to a hot start. And they accomplished that. They got off to an unbelievable start. It's funny, though, because in their last 60 games, they're 28-32. It's not a good record. But in the first 60 games of last year, they were 28-32. And it's almost as if like the opposite of last season has unfolded this season. And like you said, it doesn't not a good excuse, but it does add some perspective here. And that they have 6-7 weeks here to make this thing right, to hit their stride before October comes. And are they going to do it? I don't know. But to suggest that, because they haven't played well now doesn't mean they're going to win in October, I think it's kind of foolish.
Phillies definitely did a little shakeup with the lineup today. Trey Turner on the bench, Castellanos in the 2 slot, Sosa playing shortstop. Do you think that this shakeup is the kind of shakeup that makes sense for a Phillies team like this right now? Or do you think this is just them kind of blindly throwing darts at a dartboard?
No, I mean, I think it makes sense to give Turner a day right here. I mean, he's just he's swinging at everything right now, and it's not a good matchup for him tonight. The Marlins star Edward Cabrera's got great stuff, but he really is a guy who throws a lot of pitches out of the zone. He will make you chase. And right now, if you watch Trey Turner's at bats, it's pretty obvious like what the scouting report is and what the plan of attack is. I mean, it's a lot of breaking balls, off-speed stuff, and a lot of it is down and away. And he is swinging at just about everything right now. And so I think it's a good day for him to just not think about baseball, just like not play. It gives Castellanos a little reward getting him up in the 2-hole. And tomorrow, I expect Turner to be batting second and playing shortstop. It does not sound like this is going to be a thing where he's coming back and he's batting lower in the lineup. I think this is just a day to try to reset Turner because we know that he's better than this. I mean, he knows it. We all know it.
So if they're trying to reset Turner today, is it possible that maybe they try to reset Marsh tomorrow? In his last 8 games, he's batting .080. So after that hot, Marsh goes to Stone Harbor, Matt. Then he comes back, he hits a couple home runs, starts hitting great, and then he goes into this slump in the last 8 games. So he's on an up and down trajectory as well here.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play a lot this weekend. They're going to face quite a few lefties, I believe, against Washington. And I think that's why he's playing tonight, is because he's not going to play a lot this weekend. I think 3 out of the 4 games against Washington are lefties, and he's not going to play. And honestly, he hasn't hit righties either. I mean, this has been a slump now that, honestly, you probably call it more than a slump. I mean, this has been 3 months now of Marsh really not producing the way he should, especially against righties. Even if we acknowledge that he's not going to hit lefties enough to get playing time, he's got to hit righties, and he just hasn't done that. He really hasn't made enough contact at all this month. It's a problem, and because of that, I think he's going to be sitting a lot this weekend.
You mentioned they got Patrick Corbin on Friday, Mackenzie Gore on Saturday, 2 lefties, and also I believe it's Mitchell Parker is a lefty as well. So that's 3 straight days, no Marsh potentially in the lineup. So if there's no Marsh in the lineup, Matt Gelb from The Athletic joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. If it's no Marsh in the lineup, what does that mean for Bryson Stott?
We're going to see. I'm going to guess that he doesn't play all of those games. I mean, maybe he sits 2 of them. Maybe he sits all of them. I mean, some of it might depend on the at-bats tonight that they see from Sosa and from Stott. They like Sosa against lefties, and for good reason. His production has been there, gives them a little spark. I wouldn't be surprised if Sosa plays a lot this weekend.
Matt, you mentioned about them playing the Nationals this weekend. I think a lot of people looked at them coming back home as, man, that was a tough road trip. Now you got the Marlins and the Nationals, and then they lose yesterday 5-0, and people are now, they're starting to sweat. And yesterday, I said earlier in the show, Matt, I said the word of the day is frustrated. Rob Thompson gave the message about being frustrated. Schwarber said they're frustrated, not worried. Is that a fair assessment of this team right now, that they're just trying to get through this situation? They are frustrated, but they will come out the other side.
There's definitely a lot of frustration. I mean, because they know they're better than this. I mean, I think we do too. I mean, this is not a team. Certainly, they're not a team that was, they were on pace for 112 wins for a while, and they're not that team. And now they've been the second worst team in baseball since the All-Star break. I don't think they're that team either. I think they're obviously somewhere in the middle, and I think they are one of the better teams in baseball. They have not played like it for a while, and that can be a frustrating thing. You expect them to go through a skid. I mean, I think we knew that they would. What is frustrating for them and for the people who watch them is that this has gone on longer than it should. And everyone has acknowledged that, and it's not like they're sitting there saying, oh, we're going to get through it. We're better than this. We're going to get through it. There's a lot of work, and meetings and practice, has gone into trying to get out of it. And, they need to see a ball go over the wall. I think they haven't hit a home run in 29 innings now. Not to say that this offense is just completely dependent on the long ball, but it certainly helps. And I think you just see a lot of guys trying to just do everything with one at bat.
Matt, that's a great point about the home run, though. That's a great point because, this is a team that has a lot of money invested in a lot of power hitters. Schwarber, Turner, Castellanos. I mean, these guys, they're not, single hitters. These are power hitters. These are sluggers, right? These are guys who have been able to generate power over the years. And even Real Musso's got power in his bat. So I think it's a great point. Like if this team can at least get one guy starting to showcase some of that power, maybe the other guys can look at that and be like, all right, we're coming back around.
Yeah. I mean, they're not expecting every guy to be, going hot at the same time. I mean, you also don't expect every guy to go cold at the same time. And for the most part, the lineup has gone cold. Kyle Schwarber has hit for power, has gotten on base here this month. Bryce Harper's swing seems to be coming around. Alec Boehm has been okay. Other than that, there really hasn't been anyone who has produced. And that's a tough way to live, especially when you're pitching, looks a little shaky right now. They need something to go right. And I honestly thought in the middle of that road trip, they really did play better baseball. And then it did not end the way that they hoped it would end. And then it kind of carried over into the game last night.
Matt Gelb from The Athletic joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Check out all of Matt's coverage of the Phillies in The Athletic each and every day. Also on the Twitter X platform at Matt Gelb. Matt, I wanted to see from you, because you mentioned about that road trip. I felt like there were a couple games they could have and should have won, right? Like the Saturday in Seattle when they lost in the 10th inning. You look at the game Friday night in Arizona when they lost 3-2. It really does, to me at least, feel like if they would have won those two games, maybe we would be feeling a little differently about this team. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. Had they won they had a chance to have a 500 trip had they just won one of the last three games in Arizona. And I think it would have definitely had a different feel to it. And I think it's the way they lost. Those last three games in Arizona, it was, walk-off Friday and then two blowouts Saturday and Sunday in which they really were not in the games. And, it definitely left a bad taste, I think, in their mouths because it was a decent trip up until that point. It wasn't perfect, but it was decent. And, they'd gotten through the tougher part of their schedule. They come home and really they just laid an egg last night. And there are no excuses for it because, I just feel like it is time for them to pull out of this. They're a better team than they've played. But somebody's got to step up. They're kind of waiting to see who's going to step up, who's going to put them on their back and kind of get this thing rolling again because they need to see a few things go right. And I feel like it would just get everybody on the same page, but it hasn't happened yet.
Matt, I wanted to flip it over to the pitching staff. What is the latest on Ranger Suarez? Because we saw Taijuan Walker return last night, and he's Taijuan Walker. No one's expecting him to come out there and be some elite pitcher, but he's an innings eater. That's what he's really here for. But the guy that people want to know about is Ranger Suarez. So what is the latest on him, and when can we actually expect his return?
He's going to throw a sim game again Sunday here at the ballpark. Going to get up to about 80 pitches in that game. And I think that puts him on track really to be back in 2 weekends when they go to Kansas City. It seems like all signs are pointing to that. He has not reported any issues with the back. I think they've used this time really more than anything to give him a longer pause and to make sure that this guy is not only healthy, but also sharp going into October. And even if he comes back next weekend, he's going to end up probably getting to a career high in innings for this season. And I think they're just looking out for him. It seems like he's on track.
You mentioned the game at Kansas City. I believe it's August 25th. There's still no starter announced for that game. So would the Phillies use Suarez's opportunity to maybe bump everyone else down in the rotation, or would it be swapping Suarez literally for Tyler Phillips, you think?
I think it remains to be seen. Probably depends on how Phillips switches tonight and also in his next one. They could go to a 6-man rotation. They could skip somebody. I think pretty much every option is kind of out there for them right now. It's going to depend on how things go in the next 10 days, week to 10 days.
And part of the reason why I'm asking is because, Christopher Sanchez, he obviously had an amazing first half of the season, but he has been solid, not elite like he was at times in the first half. Aaron Nola has had a couple up and down starts. The only guy who's really been consistent is Zach Wheeler for the most part. And even he's had his moments where he has not always looked like Zach Wheeler. So I'm just I know that Nola and Wheeler have verbalized, Matt, that they don't like the 6-man rotation, but maybe not a permanent 6-man, but maybe just using Suarez coming back as opportunity to go through a 6-man for at least one go around to give everyone at least an extra day before the September stretch is kind of like what I'm thinking.
I mean, I think that's in an ideal world, that is what they would do. They would go to a 6-man for maybe 2-3 turns through, give everybody some extra rest, make sure that everybody is healthy. I think it's going to depend on the standings. It's going to depend on if they have 6 effective starters they feel like they can use. There's just a lot of different things it's going to depend on.
What is your take on the bullpen right now? Because you know how Philly fans are, they see the bullpen and they're all pining for the days of Brad Lidge and, having guys with literal roles in the bullpen. And the way the Phillies run this bullpen, it's not the traditional fans' way of looking at a bullpen. So give us a little context on the roles these guys have in the bullpen and how you think they'll be used moving forward.
I think some of these guys have hit a bit of a wall. I think there was Kaufman and Strom, Kerkering, all three of them, were outstanding for the first few months of the year, and you kind of expected them to have a little regression. And I think it's kind of all happened at once, which has made it, difficult for the Phillies because they're trying to find the right guys to use in the right moments. And there's not a lot of guys who are going great right now. You can add Alvarado to that list. I think Estevez has been fine since he's come over here. He hasn't had a ton of save chances, so it's hard to say that he's really been tested. But they believe in these guys, and I think when you stack up their bullpen to everyone else, all the other contenders, it's right there. I mean, I just think that some of these guys have hit a wall, and better now than later. I mean, I think that they're trying to find a way to get these guys, make sure they get a little extra rest, make sure that they can kind of fix any mechanical issues that they have going on. But I don't have a huge concern about some of these guys. I think this is kind of the ebbs and flow of the season. Like, I just did not expect Geoff Hoffman to have a .98 ERA all season. Like, I didn't think Matt Strom was going to have a 1.2 ERA all season. And there's definitely been it's been harder and probably more accentuated because they've all kind of gone, downhill at once.
Matt, before I let you go, when they expand the rosters in a couple of weeks in September, what do you think they're going to do?
No idea. I haven't even thought that far. I mean, I don't know. Probably, they could add another catcher. Rafael Marchand could come back. You get one hitter and one pitcher basically now. The roster expansion is pretty limited,
right,
with the new rules. So I'm sure they'll add another long reliever type. That would make kind of using a 6-man rotation easier in September if they want to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to depend again on how things are going come September. I know it's close. It doesn't feel that close though.
I mean, I'm asking because we've seen Kobe Allard up here. We've seen Michael Mercado up here. We have seen guys already up this year. So is it those two guys? I'm wondering, are they targeting Spencer Turnbull for September? That's kind of where my mind is going. I'm trying to decipher what they might end up doing because, as you said, how many weeks do they go with a 6-man rotation? Who's even going to be in the 6-man rotation? Or do they just say, as you said, these guys are tired in the bullpen, let's get another reliever in the bullpen?
I mean, it'd probably be a long guy. I mean, I know that they're hoping Turnbull becomes an option for them as a reliever in September, but he's, been a little slower to get back on the mound than they expected. So that one remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, I think they're hoping that he's a guy in September that they can use at least in some kind of reliever role.
He's Matt Gelb from The Athletic. Give him a follow on the Twitter X platform at Matt Gelb and subscribe to The Athletic for all of his Phillies coverage year round. And he joined us right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Matt, appreciate the time. Yeah, enjoy the game tonight, even if they lose, okay?
I'm good either way.
Matt Gelb joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Does a great job covering the Phillies for The Athletic. And, to his point about a couple minutes ago when he mentioned about, how do they go with the 6-man rotation, right? The idea being, as I said, it's August 25th is the day right now that is an open slot. Now, in theory, that would be a start for Tyler Phillips. So it's the idea of Phillips pitches tonight, and then he pitches again in Atlanta on the 20th. Do the Phillies say to Ranger Suarez, you're coming back that day, but we're going to use you to bump everyone down a day. So then Phillips' next start would be on the 26th, and then Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez will all get bumped down an extra day. And then when they get back to Phillips again and Suarez again, they go back to a normal rotation. It's just a thought, because I agree with Matt Gelb 100%. I think some of these guys, pitching wise, they're tired. It's been a long season. They were used a lot. I told you guys before the All-Star break that Jeff Hoffman and Jose Alvarado both appeared in 42% of the Phillies games. Strom had appeared in 40% of the Phillies games in the first half. That's a lot of innings pitched for three guys who, let's be realistic, they are not your traditional elite pitchers. So if they can find a way to alleviate some of these guys and the pressure, the strain, the innings, whatever you want to call it, I think it would be a smart move at this point. Again, Phillies back in action tonight against the Marlins. And as Matt Gelb pointed out, 3 straight left-handed pitchers coming up on their schedule. Mitchell Parker tomorrow night, followed by Patrick Corbin on Friday and Mackenzie Gore on Saturday. So there's a strong possibility, as you heard Matt Gelb point out, that you don't see Brandon Marsh for 2 or 3 days consecutively coming up. And that he said the theory is that, hey, Marsh will play tonight, but he ain't playing the next few days. So if that's the strategy, I'm more okay with the idea of Marsh playing and Turner getting the day off today. And the question, though, is who do you go with if the plan is to sit Marsh for 3 straight days? I mean, are you playing Weston Wilson every game coming up? Because Cal Stevenson is a lefty, so I'm assuming he's not going to be the guy. I don't foresee Austin Hayes coming back in the next 3 days. So do the Phillies go out there and say, Weston Wilson, you're going to play all 3 days? Do they tell Weston Wilson, you're going to play 2 of the 3 days? And then we'll play Brandon Marsh against Patrick Corbin, because Corbin is having an abomination of a season this year. I mean, I got to tell you guys, there is nothing more perplexing in baseball to me. And I know this is a very random point. I'm sure maybe only Steven Ventnor cares that I'm saying this. There is nothing more perplexing to me than Patrick Corbin. This dude was at one point in time a coveted free agent. He was a pitcher who a lot of people thought very highly of years ago. There was conversations the Phillies would be in the mix to get him, right? This is a guy who, when he went from Arizona to Washington, people legitimately thought that he was going to be a staple of that rotation for years to come. And it was going to be him and Scherzer and Strasburg, and they were going to be like a big 3, right? And then they win the World Series. And the year they win the World Series, he has a really good year. Ever since then, this dude has fallen off a cliff, ability-wise. He has led the National League, I believe it's 3 straight years in losses. And His ERA every year is over 5. Right now it's 5.98. And I believe it was like over a 6 a couple of years ago. They paid this guy so much money, and his ability has just completely fallen off a cliff. He may very well be one of the worst pitchers, not the worst left-handed pitcher in all of baseball. And just several years ago, he was top 5 in the Cy Young voting. Like, how do you go from that level of elite to that bad? That might be the guy you tell Brandon Marsh, you're hitting against him. He stinks. We get Mackenzie Gore, we get Mitchell Parker, but Patrick Corbin, he stinks. He's trash. Just Brandon Marsh, you hit against him. Like, maybe that's how you don't start Weston Wilson 3 straight days. You tell Brandon Marsh you're hitting against Patrick Corbin. Good luck. Josh Hennig here on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill. 973 ESPN FM, 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Coming up next, we'll get back to the text board, 609-403-0973. I have some texts I didn't get to a little bit earlier in the show, so I'll get to those, plus some news and notes from around the NFL to get to, as some more injury news impacting the NFL. We'll touch on that and more coming up next. 973 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Hump Day Wednesday.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill is celebrating 15 years on 97.3 ESPN, and Bud Light wants to celebrate with you. It's Happy Hour Friday, August 23rd, from 2 till 6 p.m. at Vagabond in Egg Harbor Township, featuring $3.50 Bud Light drafts and $5 neutral vodka seltzers. Enjoy a cold one and enter with tickets to David Spade at Ocean Casino Resort. Go celebrate 15 years of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and Bud Light, Friday, August 23rd, from 2 till 6 p.m. at Vagabond in Egg Harbor Township.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
When it comes to wings in the Delaware Valley, nobody beats the Piccalilli Inn. Whether it's South Jersey's best wings, tails, or ears, let them know you're sauce champion. All 10 delectable flavors are going head-to-head to battle for number 1. When it's game day, you just gotta head to the Pick. Visit them on Facebook or at piccalilli.com for their Pick game specials. And be sure to pre-order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli Inn. Visit the one, the only, the original Piccalilli Inn, Route 206 in Chemong.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Krispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Meet DJ, the Master Penny Pincher.
I'm always looking for ways to lower my electric bill. My new smart meter from Atlantic City Electric makes it a lot easier to save energy and money. I took a few minutes, logged into my account, and unlocked some cool tools like high usage alerts and customized energy saving tips I can see right on my phone. I'd say that's a pretty smart move.
We couldn't agree more, DJ. To unlock all the energy-saving benefits of your new smart meter, sign up for my account at AtlanticCityElectric.com/smartmove.
New Jersey's got a lot of summer wow, from sun and wows to fun and wows, and every wow in between. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. Plus. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT, or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The Phillies continue to struggle. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Phillies lost their first game of the homestand last night, 5-0 to the Miami Marlins, and continue to struggle. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, does Rob Thompson have to dramatically shake up the lineup tonight? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. I think he does. Something needs to change. And even if it's temporarily, they change the lineup for a couple games here and there and then maybe go back to what they normally would want to do and have the lineup be, that is okay. It's okay to change things up every once in a while, especially if you're in a losing drought. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Don't miss Borgata's $1.5 million Summer Showdown. Now through August 31st, 1,500 winners will earn a share of $1.5 million. Plus, 2 lucky players will win a 2024 Ford Bronco or Jeep Rubicon. Earn entries for drawings held every Saturday, including 2 grand prize drawings on July 27th and August 31st. The $1.5 million Summer Showdown, only at Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa. Must be 21 or older. Players must be present to win. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our next storm system holds off until the weekend. That means we get to enjoy 2 more splendid summer days before rain returns to the forecast. Mainly clear and comfortable tonight, low of 65. Tomorrow, partly sunny and seasonably warm, high of 86. 87 on Friday, turning mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms at night. Pockets of rain and thunderstorms this weekend with breaks of dry weather in between. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Join Atlantic County Harley-Davidson on September 14th for a salute to the troops, where they honor our heroes. Celebrate with them as they pay tribute to our active and retired military service members and first responders. Let's show our appreciation for those who serve, keep us safe, and allow us to ride free. Enter for your chance to win a 2024 Road Glide Limited and other amazing prizes. See you at Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, September 14th. Atlantic County Harley-Davidson, where heroes ride. Go to acharley.com for details.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by Key Acura of Atlantic City. For a great car buying experience, go see Rocco and his team at Key Acura of Atlantic City on Tilton Road, located in Egg Harbor Township. Key Acura is your small but friendly dealer. Visit them online at keyacuraofAtlanticCity.com. As I promised, it's a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg joins us here on the Sports Bash, as typically Dave joins me on game night, but because there's no game night tonight, Dave was kind enough to join us earlier here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome in. How you doing today?
Doing well, Josh. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So, I gotta admit with you, I like talking baseball with you, Dave, but today is one of those days where I'm reminded how much I hate baseball. I gotta be honest.
Why is that?
Because it's like, okay, the Phillies have lost 4 straight games, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating. And we're all frustrated. You're frustrated. I'm frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. Rob Thompson says he's frustrated. Kyle Schwarber says he's frustrated. Everybody's frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, the Phillies got to make a lineup change. And it's like, okay, we're going to bench Trey Turner. We're going to put Nick Castellanos in the 2 slot. We're going to keep Bryson Stott, who isn't hitting well, behind Alec Boehm. And we're going to keep Brandon Marsh, who's hitting horrible, in the lineup. And I'm just like, why? Like, I'm with you, like, only in baseball do people do random stuff. Like, there's never like a week in the NFL where it's like you know what we're going to do? We're going to make random lineup changes. Or like in basketball, where it's like, we're going to put a random dude in the lineup at a position he doesn't play normally, right? Or in hockey, like you never see that kind of stuff. It's only in baseball where it's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get weird.
And the person you're benching is Trey Turner. That makes
That's
no
the guy.
sense. That makes zero sense. Zero. bench Brandon Marsh, who's hitting about what? 022. I don't know what he's hitting.
He's hitting 080 in his last 8 games.
Sit him down. Why is he still in the lineup? I don't. That makes zero. Stott's been struggling. He hit the ball pretty well last night, right at people, but pretty well. But I'm with you there. That's very puzzling to me. I don't know why you would make those changes. That makes no sense to me.
It's just so. Now, I will say, I just had Matt Gelb on, and Matt Gelb says that he thinks the reason is because the Nationals have 3 straight left-handers going the next 3 days, and that the Phillies are going to sit Marsh for those 3 days. And I'm just like, if that's their reasoning, then they're overthinking it.
You know, why? I mean, so he can't sit today? I mean, what do the Nationals have to do with this? Sit him for 5 games. I mean, he's been really struggling. That's stupid.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
I mean, I understand winning cures all problems, but Dave, you know how it is. Like, all of us think about the 2022 World Series when they had the record for strikeouts, when the 2023 NLCS, when the offense completely ghosted us for game 6 and 7. Like, these are the things that stress Philly fans more than anything. And us being told it's the dog days of summer, it's a long season, everyone's frustrated, it's just not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to win the East, I think. I mean, barring the continued collapse, I don't see it really happening for the rest of the season. But they're certainly not, giving you much confidence going into the playoffs the way they're playing right now. And I'm afraid it's going to be a repeat of last year, or maybe even worse, where they just, regress even further. And whether it's a first round exit or a second round exit at that, it's tough to be a Phillies fan right now. It really is, because like you said, they keep letting you down, and they got off to such a great start. Hopes were all sky high again. High hopes, as Harry Kalas would say, and now they're just back in the doldrums. It's tough to be a baseball fan right now. You're right.
Yeah, and you mentioned the regression, because now that's a whole nother set of bad memories, because when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008, they lost the World Series next year, then they lost in the NLCS, then they lost in the NLDS, and it was like every year they got worse, even though the roster looked better at the beginning of the year. So now Dave Weinberg, you're bringing up a whole nother set of bad memories.
Yeah. That was kind of like my thought process, the fact that they were a step worse every year back then, and I'm afraid it's happening again. I hope not, but there's something definitely wrong with the team. I can't. They seem to have the talent. Obviously, they do, or they wouldn't have gotten off to such a fantastic start. But I don't know if it's a culture thing, if it's a dugout thing, a clubhouse thing. I don't know, manager thing, but something's clearly awry here, and I don't know what they're going to do to fix it. I don't think that benching Trey Turner's the answer.
I mean, I don't think so either, but who knows? I mean, baseball's a weird sport too. I mean, a guy gets a day off and all of a sudden he goes on like a 10-game hitting streak. Like we've seen stuff like that happen before. So
True. Yeah. But I would think I don't know. Trey Turner's not the guy that I would have benched, but I'm not Rob Thompson, so he didn't ask me.
Well, the problem with Rob Thompson is, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, Dave, but I look at Rob Thompson, and I know a lot of people are critical of him, but I keep reminding people, am I supposed to believe Rob Thompson is out there being a maverick, just doing whatever the heck he wants? The reason why he's the manager is because the people above him, they agree with what he's doing. They're okay with what he's doing. Like Dave Dombrowski has talked about how him and Rob Thompson are on the same page, and they're very similar minded baseball guys. People like us who are watching the game may not like what the decisions are made by the manager, but if the manager wasn't making decisions, the people in the front office were okay with or approving of, do we really think Rob Thompson would be here?
Right. I mean, that's the difference, I guess, with Joe Girardi and Rob, that he's willing to buy into the philosophy that Dave Dombrowski was putting forth. And
Right.
Baseball managers really have a limited power to me. You set the, like, well, today he does by benching Trey Turner, but they set the lineup. They're not calling pitches. They're not devising strategy necessarily. I think it's more pitching coaches, that's batting coaches, that's first base, third base coach. He's kind of like the facilitator, like the overall manager, if you will. I don't know if it's fair to blame him. I guess ultimately the blame falls on the manager, just like it does in the head coach in football. But he's there because Dombrowski wants him there, like you said, and he's willing to do what they want him to do.
Dave Weinberg joining us here.
I got off the train there thing. Sorry.
Nah, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
I was just going to say, Dave Weinberg joining us here on 97.3 ESPN, Extra Point Columns at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, I want to flip it over to the Eagles because you covered the Eagles for many years. And I want to get your perspective on this because, the Eagles had a good joint practice. You know how that works, quote unquote. They had a good practice, with the Patriots. And you know how some fans are, the reaction of the fans are, well, who cares? Because they're practicing against the Patriots. Who cares if it was a good practice? From your perspective of covering teams over the years, does it really matter who you're practicing against?
Oh, team-wise, no. I mean, the fact that you're practicing against another team, I think, certainly helps you. You're not going to see the starters much, if at all, in the game itself. So the practices is where you get a better gauge of how your offense is progressing in your defense. So, by that token, I think it's valuable to practice against another team. You get a taste of where you are as a team. So, generally, training camp practices are kind of boring, quite frankly. But the joint practices add a little bit of a flavor to it, a little bit of a spirit to it. Sometimes you get some fights here and there. I probably didn't have any this time, but I think there's definitely some value into that.
It's funny you said that because there were no fights because apparently the Patriots head coach Gerard Mayo and the Eagles coach Nick Sirianni apparently threatened the players no fighting because they were worried that there might be injuries.
Okay. Yeah, I get it's not like it was before, obviously, where they would drop the gloves, so to speak, every other play and try to assert themselves, wide receivers fighting with defensive backs, what have you. They probably want a more disciplined and controlled environment there. So yeah, I can see where they would probably not want to risk injury by doing that. I mean, I've never seen a serious injury with a training camp fight. They usually last about all of 5 seconds, but they have their reasons, I guess.
Well, Gerard Mayo, because Mayo used to play in the league, and he explained to the media. He said that he told his players that if a starter got into a fight, that the starter had to play every snap of the rest of the preseason.
Wow, that's I can see where they would. That's incentive not to do that. Yeah, nobody wants to play in the preseason.
And then apparently the Eagles players were threatened that they would get fined. Even though they're not getting game checks yet, they were going to get fined on their first game check if they got into a fight.
That seems a little odd. Okay. I mean, I don't know if I don't think they have the authority to do that, but maybe they do. I could see them pushing the sled to the field or something like they did with George Hegman back in the day, but that might be punishment enough.
Well, if you ask Jordan Mailata was on the Greenlight podcast. He said that rugby training camp was harder than NFL training camp.
I don't doubt it. I mean, I watched rugby in the Olympics. Those men and women are serious, boy. Woof. That's a physical sport.
Yeah. That was the one thing Mailata said. He said the only thing easier, because he was on Chris Long's pod, and he said the only thing easier at the NFL, he said, is that training camp at the NFL is easier than rugby. But he said everything else with the NFL has been harder, was like a real challenge for him to learn. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, he never played football before. He didn't even know how to buckle a chin strap. So yeah, I can imagine where it was a big challenge for him to get, you learn the rules of the game intricacies of the game. So yeah, I can see where that would have been a really tough challenge for him.
Speaking of the Greenland Pod, Dave, I wanted to play for you this one audio clip from Lane Johnson because you know Lane. Lane speaks his mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
shoots from the hip. Yep.
Yeah, so he made this comment about Vic Fangio, and I want to get your reaction to it because I thought this was a pretty eye-opening comment in a good way, but an eye-opening comment from a player currently in training camp about Vic Fangio being the DCs. This was Lane Johnson on the Green Light podcast with Chris Long.
We're so used to basic defenses in our training camp, and every now and then you would see a defense like his 2 or 3 times a year, maybe. Yeah. But now we're getting all the hard stuff and all of our hard calls kind of out of the way. So when it goes back to playing other teams, it should be a lot simpler.
What's your reaction to that?
But he says that they're facing defenses that they're going to face during the year. Is that his?
Well, he was saying that typically like he said, typically in the past in training camp, it's like very simple defenses you face. Whereas he said now Fangio is throwing everything at them in training camp. And he says now during the season, it's actually going to be easier for them going into the year because they've seen everything already in training camp.
Yeah, I can see there's merit to that. I mean, generally in training camp, at least the ones that I've been to, it's usually the ones against the twos. You very rarely see first team offense against first team defense. It's usually first team offense against second team, first team defense against second team offense. That's kind of eye opening that Fangio would do that they would match up mano a mano, so to speak. That's an interesting way to approach it, and I can see where that would pay off. You're used to playing against the best of the best there.
And it makes you wonder, Dave, because one of the issues, arguably the biggest issue last year, was the disaster that was the defensive coaching situation, right? And so it's almost like, the Eagles and Fangio are coming in and being like, well, the defense was trash last year, so we're going to do everything different this year.
Yeah, I mean, I could see they needed a breath of fresh air, sorry, and a change in the culture and change in the coaching staff definitely helps. Same thing with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. You needed a fresh set of eyes, a fresh way of doing things. And it was clear that the team had stopped listening to the coaches last year. So now you have two guys who are both respected in their fields and bringing new ideas, bringing some creativity to it. So yeah, I can see where that should pay off this year, I think.
Dave Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Before I let you go, your latest extra point column was about the South Jersey High School. The South Jersey Lifeguard Championships, I should say.
Yep.
And
correct. Yep.
We had the broadcast here on 97.3 ESPN, and it was really wild that going into the final race, that literally was a 3-way tie, and that it really could have been anybody's championship. And I love the way you documented it on the article because of the fact that people don't realize that these races really come down. Every single race matters for gathering points.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the South Jerseys because there's only 3 events. I've argued long and hard without success that there should be more. They should add some variety to it. I think it's time to include women's events in it. Maybe even like a surf dash for the team purposes. But yeah, when you only have 3 events, every point matters. And like you said, I mean, the Avalon was fortunate to get a huge effort from their singles rower to pull out the win over Jacksonville. And congrats to them. That's the first time they've won since 2015, I believe it was. But a really exciting event. I mean, people, if you have never had a chance to get to it, make sure you go because it's one of the truly unique sports in our area and definitely worth a trip to watch.
And the best news of all is for you, Dave Weinberg, because when the South Jersey Lifeguard Championships are next summer, it's a shorter drive for you, and there's free parking in Avalon.
Oh, is there? Okay, awesome, good, very good. Well, there was free parking in Brigantine too, but yeah, that's definitely a shorter drive.
Definitely a shorter drive. I mean, your exit 13 versus exit 38A. It's a very big difference.
Yep.
I mean, yep. I literally live closer to Avalon than I do the radio station.
Do you really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So then there's no
Yeah.
excuse for you not to be there then.
Well, it
Next year.
depends on if I'm working in the studio or not. So,
Oh, okay. I got you.
this year, because, Mike Gill is in Virginia with his 13-year-old baseball team, and I was having to fill in for him. There's no way I was going to be on location for the event, so we had to send somebody else out there to do the setup.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, duty calls. I understand.
Yeah,
You
it's
missed
a
a good
dirty
one.
job, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah, just like lifeguard races, you got to, walk on the beach with your bare feet and get, a little bit of a tan and watch people race. It's really a tough job.
Dave Weinberg at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform. Extra point columns at 973ESPN.com. Dave, appreciate you jumping on a little bit earlier with me. We'll talk soon.
Oh, anytime, Josh. I appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Dave Weinberg joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 973 ESPN. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up on the other side, we'll check back on the text board one more time. 609-403-0973.
We have the Phillies covered.
Swing and a drive, right field, way back, forget it, out of here. Kyle Schwarber hammers one over the right field wall.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. I've been telling you about the beautiful MDX I've been driving from Key Acura of Atlantic City. But guess what? The brand new 2025 MDX have just arrived. Between now and August 31st, you can lease a slick 2025 MDX all-wheel drive for just $599 a month with $49.95 down, or lease a 2024 Integra for $299 a month with $49.95 down while they last. Go see Rocco at Key Acura, Tilton Road in EAT, your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's Ben and Chevy's end of summer blowout.
Hurry in now for deals you can't find anywhere else.
Our best deals of the year.
Like $500 below GM supplier employee prices on new Chevys.
Yes, you pay $500 less than our employees pay.
Plus, Bennett gives you all the rebates.
That could save you up to 10% on your new Chevy. Save even more with available 0.9% financing. And Bennett Chevy is South Jersey's EV headquarters with a great selection of EVs, hybrids, SUVs, and Chevy trucks.
And right now, we're paying a whopping $10,000 minimum for any old trade.
We don't care if it runs, just get it here. That's at least $10,000 for total junk towards any pre-owned in stock. Imagine how much we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So you'll love your no-hassle, no-haggle experience. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Sassy Cafe and Suites in Mullica Township for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at SeizeTheDeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly.
For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, wrapping up the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Tomorrow night, Eagles, Patriots. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN. I'll be back tomorrow filling in for Mike Gill another day. By the way, shout out to our winners. Geoff in Ocean City, Matt in Sickerville, Shaner in the HT, David and Violin. You are the winners of the tickets to go see at Ocean Casino Resort, Hall, Saturday, August 24th. They're going to the 10:30 show time. I've been told there's only a handful of tickets left for either 7 p.m. or 10:30 show times. So if you did not win tickets today to go see Andrew Scholes in concert and you want to go see the famous comedian, actor, and podcaster in person in Atlantic City, go to theoceanac.com for more information about how you can purchase your tickets now before they completely run out. And thanks again to Ocean Casino Resort for supplying us some tickets to give away to our listeners here on 97.3 ESPN. Let's see here. What text did I not get to earlier? By the way, Steven Vendor came through. I mentioned about Patrick Corbin. He says, Patrick Corbin reminds me of Jordan Zimmerman's contract. He was never an ace, should have been paid one, but he does take the ball every fifth day, and Corbin's never hurt. Well, the problem is Corbin's never hurt, takes the ball every fifth day, but it's like you're paying him basically to stink. David and Violin chimes in at 609-403-0973, says, call Big Dom whatever you want if it helps win football games. Listen, there was a lot of speculation that Dom missing those couple games was a huge factor in the culture problems in the Eagles locker room. So maybe he is more valuable to the culture than we realize. Jerry from Absecon says, do you really think Rob Thompson makes the calls, or is it above him when it comes to the lineup? I think it's above him. I think that I've always believed Rob Thompson does what he's told. I've always kind of ascribed to that theory. All right. Thanks, everybody, for texting in. Thanks to Dave Weinberg, Matt Gelb, Nick Earnshaw, Geoff Mosher, Mike McGarry for all joining the show. And thank you for listening to 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig, been filling in for Mike Gill. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.